I'm Keisha Smith, owner of Spectacular Spuds. I choose to do business in Flint because I'm a Flint native and I want to be a part of the revitalization in Flint. Here at Spectacular Spuds, we serve up signature baked potatoes on all your favorites, from shrimp alfredo to Philly steak. Anything you can think of comes on a baked potato right here at Spuds. Enjoy, shop, love Flint, and support small businesses.
I'm Mike Harriman, owner of Vern's Collision. We chose to do business in Flint because of the people. With the long history of working together to make this area a better place to live, we specialize in using factory recommended parts and procedures to return the vehicle to pre-loss condition for fit, finish, function, and safety. Enjoy, shop, love Flint. Support small businesses.
My name is Jane Worthing. I am President and CEO of the Genesee Group. Flint is my hometown, so it was very important to me that this business remained in Flint. Here at the Genesee Group, we are a packager of product, mainly in the automotive world, although we do stretch across a variety of industries. Enjoy, shop, love Flint, and support small businesses.
Judy, you ready? I'm gonna start. You ready? Okay, well, we're gonna start. She's gonna bring out a copy of everything Janelle is, okay? Today is Wednesday, April 27th, and we are in the budget hearings. Today's budget hearing is for Department of Public Works, DPW, Sanitation, Transportation, Traffic, and Street Maintenance. I am going to do roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mays? Ms. Lewis? Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Priestley?
Present.
Ms. Winfrey Carter? Ms. Burns?
Present.
Ms. Herkenroder?
Present.
Mr. Pfeiffer? Ms. Worthing?
Present.
You have 5 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to do the reading of the disorderly persons city code subsection. Any person that persists in disrupting this meeting will be in violation of the Flint City Code, Section 31-10. Disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly persons, and will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor. Any person who prevents the peaceful and orderly conduct of any meeting will be given 1 warning. If they persist in disrupting the meeting, that individual will be subject to arrest. Violators shall be removed from the meeting. Mr. Mike Brown, you are our DPW Director. Thank you for being here with Mr. Rod Magaha. Thank you, Mr. Magaha, and Catherine Newman. Appreciate you being here. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, just to give a slight background, this is for our transportation department. It is an enterprise fund, so it's not really put in with the general budget for the city of Flint. These monies coming for most of our work is coming from the state and from weight taxes and such for our streets, gas taxes, weight, etc. It comes into the city in payments, and then it goes into our fund. Then we use that fund to run the projects and to get the work done that we do in the city of Flint. Did I miss anything?
Just to say, for my colleagues, Janelle is going to bring a copy out for everyone, and I'll make sure that we all have a copy so that we can be on the same page. And I will get one out to you, Councilman Mays, so that you also have it too.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while we're waiting for our copies, is it okay if I ask some non-budget related questions, or did you have?
Yeah, I would say yes. If you want to start that part, yes, because that way I would like to start with you, Mr. Brown, so that we're all on the same page. It won't
Okay.
take her but a moment. So go ahead.
It's
Councilwoman
Mr. McGee?
Magaha.
McGuy? McGuy, okay, you know what?
Gaha,
McGuy.
G-A-H-A.
I'm never gonna get that. McGuy. I am so sorry. I don't know why that's hard for me.
When you start.
I have a question, because you are now in charge of the speed bump being placed, correct? Well, or
Well, I
overseeing
get the list
it.
from the mayor's office.
Okay. Do you know, because I have residents complaining around Circle Drive, and I know what they're doing it, but can I get like a copy of where it is exactly so I can tell them if they're getting their speed bumps or not?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
A plan. I need a copy, I guess, of the plan so I know where the speed bumps are going, because I'm getting questions. Are they going to put them up near me? Because there's a lot of,
Right, we're getting ready to order 50 more, and I do not have the locations for those yet.
okay. All right.
All I have is the locations where we have already placed them.
Okay. All right. Can we be informed as soon as we know the locations?
Yeah.
Like, maybe just
Yes.
send out an email to all of us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
And Councilman, I did request that also for Mr. Magaha, because a lot of residents are requesting the speed bumps when they're going in, what location. So, Mr. Magaha, it seems like we're all on the same page. So when it comes from the administration, I would just say send a list out, because I know my streets and they know their streets, and then we can filter through that. And if we can get it the date of installation before they are installed would also help, so that residents will know it's going to be put in, say, June 1st. You're going to, in that list, or, or the dates or the time in between. Because our block club presidents associations, mine are very active, very active. And it seems that my colleagues, the residents want to know.
Yeah.
And I guess if we sending our list over, that 50 seems pretty small. How many have you installed so far?
I believe there's been like
8?
Yes.
And I know I have El Dorado Drive. Do you know the location? That's in the 6th ward. Do you know the location of the other ones that have been installed?
There's one on Cornelia, there's one on Penn Galley, one on Circle, there's one on Lakewood. We're getting ready to put one on Seneca, and we're getting ready to put another one on El Dorado.
Okay, so I will have 2 more going in my ward, and you don't, and what about Sunset?
Sunset's a major road, so that doesn't count.
They won't get it now. They're going to be quite upset about that.
Lee Street, most of that's major road too. Whereabouts? Well, actually, it's all major roads, so. Yeah, these are only designed for streets that are 25 miles per
Okay.
hour. So you really don't want them hitting them too fast or it will damage their vehicle.
My other question is, what part of Seneca Street? Seneca goes a long ways.
It's going to be just north of Mackin Road.
Okay.
It's between Barth and Clement.
Got it. So right now, that's my ward, but it will go to once the boundaries are changed, that will technically be the 2nd ward then. And so do you have an installation date?
Not at this point.
Not at this
I'm
point.
hoping to get them in next week. We put the signs in this week. I'm hoping to get the speed hump in next week.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
if I also may
Yes.
ask a question. So you said that they're not for major roads, they're only for roads that are 25.
Yeah, just residential streets.
Okay, so then where does Court Street fall on that? Because it is also 25, but I would consider that a major road.
But it's a major, it won't fall.
So
in
it would
that.
not, okay.
Yeah.
So it's safe to assume that if it is 25, but also a major street, it will not be getting one?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yep.
All right, thank you.
That's how I should have worded it. Sorry about that.
And that because Court Street is busy with Mott College there. It's busy. Well, anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started as we wait for Janelle. Okay.
I think we should all.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, if you'd like to go ahead, and she'll just bring out the sheets after. So you want to start your presentation? Oh, you don't have a sheet either?
Oh, I don't have a sheet. I didn't, just that short little bit to state
was
what
that
we
it?
are, and anything else that you need, we're here to answer those questions.
I can go.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Herculotter.
Okay. Hello, it's nice to put faces with names. I see the emails all the time. And thank you guys very much for being here this evening. So just as way of context, I hosted a town hall a couple weeks ago in the 7th Ward, so the questions that I'll start with are all resident questions. We went through, looked at the budget, and these are all questions that were raised by them. So in regards to the staffing, it looks like the part-time staff in streets is being raised from 10 part-time staff to 17 part-time staff. Can you speak to that?
I know we're hiring 10 non-CDLs, and I thought it was 6 CDLs is what John Daly put in the budget.
Okay.
And these part-time people are going to be used in the summer to help us get streets done, get things repaired, as opposed to just plowing snow in the winter. You know, when we don't have asphalt and such to work with, we just have cold patch, not the good asphalt to fill in holes and such. So during the summer, we need more people to help do prep work and get things ready for doing streets. We also have, more work to do as we see it, so we're going to, it was added in last year to raise the number so that we can get more done.
Okay, awesome. So that kind of leads into my next question. So we all know along Court Street, we had our fair share of problems the last couple of years. And a lot of that truck traffic had to be rerouted through the, through the neighborhood. Is there a plan to fund the repair of roads like Woodlawn and Calumet that were ruined throughout this Court Street construction time?
We do what's called, I think it's called Pacer.
Pacer rating.
And that dictates, we go through there and the Pacer formula tells us how bad a road is.
Okay.
And then from there, we make the determination of what roads we're going to fix. Now, the roads we're fixing this year was based on last year's. So once that we go back through and do Pacer again, if there are streets, like I said, you said these two are more torn up than others. Councilwoman Burns, the financial chair, gave us a couple of streets earlier before we started. We'll make sure Pacer gets through there to score them to see how bad they are. Okay. And then from that, we will make a determination of which streets we'll be working on.
Okay. So it's safe to assume that if the Pacer training, or not training, I'm sorry, the Pacer tests were done last year or this year, then it'll be taken care of next year?
Hopefully.
Okay.
I mean, we will take those
Or
numbers
sooner.
and then make our decision on what we can get done the next year.
Okay. And then I'm not sure if this would, I'm not sure where this would fall. So the bridge over Gilkey Creek as we go into the Mott campus, the road itself is okay, but the bridge is kind of crumbling. Is that a you guys question, or is that something that we should say for a different department to help get that repaired?
Is it
It looks like it's a sandstone bridge almost. You'll know it when you see it. You don't think about it when you drive across it. It's the tan bridge as you're heading. She knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's a pretty bridge.
Yeah.
It's a nice
But
bridge.
if you look up close, the street is fine, but the sidewalk and the side of it itself is crumbling.
That might be theirs.
Yeah, that would probably be Mark Ada's question.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to ask our city engineer
City engineer?
to check for that,
Okay.
but we'll get that to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I did have another question regarding the local street fund. There is a line item for contributions as revenue. And here it says that it's approximated at $535,000 for contributions. This is the only local street fund that has any contributions going into it. That's not from the state or as a result of income taxes. What is that?
I have no clue. That would be
Okay.
a clue, that would be a question that an accountant would know. And as the accountant's not here. What account number is that, please?
That is, it's the 203 fund. It's on, there's not a page number, but it's in with the general budget sheet that I see that.
203, What's the rest of
What's the rest of the number?
I just have 203.
That's all?
Okay.
Yeah, I just have 203 local street.
Okay.
It looks like it's the only street that has any kind of contribution. And I don't even know what contribution is defined as in this case, which is why I have that question.
Metro Act, so it's,
Metro Act.
so that's coming from
Contribution
the state, right?
Thank you.
for
Metro Act is,
535,000. It's on, okay.
that would be a Kirsty question.
right? Matt wouldn't even know that.
There's no page number. It's just the initial, yeah. Well, it's one of the front.
The number would
budget
be
sheets.
203-450-204-674. And above it, it says, in ours, it says Transportation Metro Act. So
Metro
it's
Act?
Metro Act, so I'm thinking that it's money coming from the state coming in.
Okay. Is that limited in its use then, if it's,
It goes directly to the local streets, not to majors,
okay,
is what it's to be used for.
okay,
from My understanding.
okay. All right. Well, those are my questions thus far. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Herkenroder. Are there any more questions? Is everyone needing a moment to say, Councilman Murphy? You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. What would be very helpful for us in the near future moving forward, to be able to, for us to specifically be able to get to the page where this is at, because this is very kind of complicated to figure out where we specifically at. I thought you told me that she was going to get copies made for us so that we can have copies on specifically where we at today. But I'll move forward on the fundings that you get from the state. Do you get funding for sidewalks?
Yes, the funds that we receive, part of that money, a percentage of that, I think it's 5%? Correct? Okay. There's a percentage that has to be used in non-street, non-motorized areas, which includes the right-of-way and the cement sidewalks that we're responsible for when we're working. So that's what pays for when you see our group out there. Maybe I should have gone that way when I started. I'll get to that in a second. But we see a group out there where the tree has lifted the concrete more than 2 inches. Then we have a crew that goes out there that removes the concrete, reseats, does what they can, and then pours new concrete down for the sidewalks. So when we think of streets, it's this, we have the streets. We also have the 50-50 program, where if somebody wants to have their sidewalk replaced because of age and deterioration, the city will match it 50-50 to have that sidewalk removed. So we do the sidewalks, we do the streets, sometimes driveway approaches. You know, when it comes to our work that we've done previously, if there's something that happens, we'll correct that problem too. We also, for this division, takes care of the trash. We take care of the traffic signals. We take care of all the signage
Excuse me.
in the city.
When you say trash, what do you mean?
This part of DPW is what oversees our trash company that we have collecting trash in the state.
Oh, okay.
In the city, in the city. I missed something. What did I miss? Anything? Signage, and what was the other that goes with that?
Pavement marking?
Oh, pavement marking, too. So painting pavements and marking the lanes and such in the city. So those are the things that are going on in this budget, in this group, as it's been defined for DPW. That's one side, and then the other side is utilities. And we'll get to that tomorrow.
So, I want to talk about trash a little bit. My ward is a disaster when it comes to trash and blight and dumping. The trash company, before, when the trash company was in-house, we used to do what we call community cleanup, where we put out flyers and we let people clean up their yards, the garages or basements or whatever. It was like a spring cleanup, and neighborhood groups or council people would coordinate with the trash company to do cleanups in the community. We would do them on Saturdays. And we would get volunteers to go out there and clean up. Even if it was a vacant lot that needed to be cleaned up, we would pull everything to the curb. That's not happening anymore. So we have a problem. We want to enforce residents to clean up their yards, but if they put out the stuff on the curb, they can only put out a certain amount of items per week. So there's a gray area that's not getting taken care of.
Okay, couple of things there. The first one you talked about was programs that we've done in the past and cleanups. The first one is in May, we have different weeks where each area will be, we have signage and that's going, and information that's coming out in regards to it. We just got it printed, I think. And so,
I meant to bring some up today.
yep, but we'll have those out quite
Tomorrow.
quickly here, probably tomorrow. They just came in. So talks about each week in May and what is being done.
Love your city.
So it's called Love Your City. I don't know if you're familiar with that or
Love
not.
My City Week. Yeah.
So, and each week, I mean, 1 week you can put out just about as many trash bags as you can, as long as they're bagged. They will pick up everything, every trash bag that's out there.
So,
And other things, each week has a little bit different. Some is for larger items, and it tells you what they will pick up, and it's unlimited during that time. Also, we do have monies in our budget.
They shorted us. See, here is. this is
That's
the-
next year.
Yes, but for
So-
next year,
No, that's this year, this is the next, and
Yeah.
that's 2 years from now.
yes, but they shorted us for next year because we give money to Blight to get dumpsters.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's what that account is.
Well, currently, we had 75,000 applied for. It's down to 70,000 currently from 2 years ago, or a year ago, to now it dropped 5,000. But we have that money available, and we supply that to help with Blight. And when Blight sets up their dumpsters for cleanups in neighborhoods,
so,
we have that available.
so here,
Also, Blight, in our current, just to let you know, in our current contract with our waste provider, they are giving us a amount of money, I can't remember the amount, it's like 16 dumpsters a quarter.
I never was part of that. So.
Okay. And there are extra dumpsters that they will give us for free, or if we use smaller dumpsters, we can go further because they're setting an amount on that. They're just allowing us to get for free dumpsters each month or quarter. So that for cleanups, that's what they can be used for.
Councilman Murphy, I will send some information. I did inquire about 2 weeks ago with Heather Griffin, who does the program with Love My City, and I do have that information. I will send it to you. May 2nd through the 6th is unlimited item pickup. May 9th through the 13th is unlimited bag trash pickup. May 16th through the 20th, it is unlimited flattened and bundled cardboard. May 23rd to the 27th, unlimited bundled brush pickup. And so she did send me the information. She did state that the flyers are now
I have.
ready. They weren't ready then. And so I'll send that, I'll share it with everyone so that everyone has got that, the Love My City.
And I'll bring them up tomorrow. I'll bring copies for everybody, and I'll leave them in the council office.
Okay.
so
Oh, I do have an email too.
thank you all for that wonderful information that you guys shared with me that I've been known, and I really appreciate it. Back to you, Mike. What I'm trying to Blight is very is dear and near to my heart because I've been dealing with it for years, and I got the biggest ward. I have a lot of blight issues. The Love My City flyer been out since Karen Weaver was the mayor. It's something, but it's not working for us when it comes down to the deep dive that need to happen with the blight. With the dumpsters, if I'm cleaning up my yard, I don't want to have to haul my dumpster down the street. And then last year, I tried to do a cleanup on my street, and the dumpsters could not get ordered for neighborhood cleanups. They had to be ordered for a particular project for, I guess, if you was cleaning up a vacant lot or a vacant house. So we couldn't just order a dumpster for the residents in the neighborhood to clean up. And if I was a resident and I wanted to do a deep dive cleanup in my neighborhood, I don't want to have to haul my stuff all the way down the street and put it in the dumpster. It just makes no sense for me. I'm not saying that dumpsters ain't needed, but I'm saying that there is not it's more a diversified way of cleaning up the neighborhood outside of Love My City on May for everybody to go and do whatever y'all want everybody to do in May. Maybe they not ready. So if they ain't ready in May, then that's it. I'm saying that you guys need to go back at the drawing table this budget time and look at what do blight look like. Somebody like a Quincy Murphy that's been out here for over 20 years doing neighborhood cleanups. I know what works. I'm saying this Love My City that everybody, and no disrespect to my colleagues, us putting a flyer out, I'm not saying we can't do that, but my ward is jacked up. Councilman Mays have talked about getting that big grab truck. He been talking about it for years, getting that grab thing to grab the trash. I don't think we are actually really looking at how bad this stuff is. So I'm not sure that me having somebody go out and physically pick something up with their hands, I don't want to be dealing with no trash in my hands. And I'm not just talking about the residents. It's so much vacant lots that got dump sites. It's all over the place. It's like a needle in a haystack, what you're trying to do for Love My City, to say, okay, here's my Love My City. We're going to do a press conference. You can do bags. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work for my ward. What we need to be figuring out is, do we got that truck to grab the trash, to pick it up, clean up? You need to be talking about bulldozers going from one end of the street to the other end of the street and clean the whole block up and clean the whole street up and go to the next street and go to the next street and then come back with a maintenance team to maintain. That's what I wanted to hear. This flyer that everybody, seems to want to give me, I take the flyer, but I'm saying for my ward, even if I do the flyer, it's not going to work. This is what I think. I think we have people who may not have ever been in our shoes, that's been on the other end, that has organized cleanups for years and know what works. What works is when we had our own garbage trucks, when the emergency manager didn't come in here and strip us from our own in-house garbage company, where we could have organized cleanups, where people were organizing cleanups with the department heads, and the department heads was like, okay, you want to clean up in June on Saturday? You put in this application, and we go come and we go pull up in front of that vacant lot. We go clean up, we go pull up in front of that house. That whole neighborhood, we used to put out flyers and tell the whole neighborhood, y'all go and clean up, this is what y'all go do, and we go come up and pull up in front of y'all house. We ain't telling you in May we got to do this, because you don't know my schedule. I may not can't, or I'm just saying, in all due respect, that the deep dive, Arnold Brown is on board now. We need to be having this discussion with Arnold Brown on what works, because when I was doing cleanups, Arnold Brown was over them. Me and him have been talking on the phone about what it looked like. These dumpsters ain't getting it. I'm just not convinced that the mayor and administration has the complete plan on the trash, because this contractor that we got priority, that we contracted with, in their contract, they not going to be able to get the job done because they ain't just pick, it's just, I will hope that with y'all follow-up meeting, y'all could come back to us with a plan for how we gonna deal with this blight. Whatever referrals that I'm going through, we're trying to get blight cleaned up. It ain't working. On Marvin Street, between Van Wagner and Gillespie, I've put in a request to get that cleaned up. It's still sitting there on both sides. It looked like a disaster. Some of these neighborhoods is people American dream. That's all they have. They are living where when they come out the door, they look across the street or down the street, dump sites all over the place. I got fussed out on the east side because I put in a referral for over there. It's not working. I think you guys should get with Clyde Edwards. Y'all could get with our clerk. Get with Arnold Brown, get with Harletta, and figure out what is wrong, because it's not working, and it's to the point now that I want to take my truck, take my trailer, and just go around and pick it up myself, but I'm scared something go jump out on me. But it's a reflection of me as the council person when it comes down to the mayor and administration oversee the day-to-day operation. So if somebody called me and I go and put a referral in to get something done and it's not getting taken care of, and we may order a dumpster for who to pick it up. They need the grab truck. They need the equipment. Hopefully in this budget, it's talking about the equipment to be able to pick the trash up. Because if it's not, we finna go and pass a budget that's not going to address the issue of the blight and the trash cleanup. So giving me a flyer, I'm just not convinced. I'm just not an easy, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna just be honest. I ain't an easy one to convince that, okay, you giving me a flyer or they wanna pass me along a flyer because we gotta love my city. I'm not convinced. They could be convinced, but I'm not convinced that giving me a flyer to give out to the community, and I'll do it, it's something, but my neighborhood jacked up. I wanted to declare a state of emergency for the 3rd Ward, but they told me I didn't have the power as a councilman to do it. So now I got to rely on your department and the mayor's department to tell me what it looked like. It's just a reflection of y'all, and election is coming up. People are frustrated. Hopefully in this budget, what you presented us is going to address some of the issues that I'm talking about. I know we strapped with funding. We're looking at a structure deficit, legacy costs, and the pension. So I know you guys got to be very conscious with where y'all spend money. The sidewalks, 5% of the money going towards sidewalks. Our neighborhood is just devastated. They can't even walk on the sidewalks. The sidewalks is that bad. And to have poor people or people that's low income to moderate give a 50-50 with inflation going up. If I had to get sidewalks done, I had to pay $5,000, and I think the 50-50 program is a reimbursement where we have to pay the whole cost and submit the invoice to the city of Flint, and we get reimbursed. I'm not sure how that program go, but if it's $5,000, I got to come up with $2,500.
Okay, first off, when I said earlier is that we assist blight. Blight is not under my departments.
Mr. Brown, hold on just a second, and I'm put a pin in that. We do, because for the public, I want it to be clear, Thursday, May 5th, the blight management, they will be here. Arnold Brown will be here. He did send me an email. So we will deal with that, and I get what you're saying, Councilman Murphy, and the frustration, especially with your ward and people, Mike. People tend to think 3rd Ward, I don't know why, it's easy access for dumping, and you are correct. So he will be here May 5th to answer those questions. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, is that it's not we have monies to help buy dumpsters in our budget for the city to be used where necessary. So when there is a cleanup in a neighborhood, we can do that. The 50-50 Sidewalk program, Catherine is the head of it, or overseer of it. She's the one who takes the checks, tells them, if someone comes and says, I need 12 squares or 5 squares, she comes up, she sends somebody out, they go out, take a look at it, bring back the cost, then that homeowner sends us a check and go.
So the 50/50 sidewalk program.
Catherine, is your mic on?
I think so. Oh, come on. Okay. Is that better?
That is.
Okay. 50/50 sidewalk program is the average 5x5 square, the residence cost is about $120. That's the 50%. John Daly did a proposal to the administration, I haven't heard anything back, of a 75-25 split. We would pay, because we're expecting more money to come back from the state, we're getting some reimbursements, he's thinking in the fall, for some, was it overcharges or, and so he proposed a 75-25 split, and then for the first time, we're going to open it up to commercial properties, 50%. So that kind of gives you an idea, though, that an average square is about $120 at the moment. July 1st, those costs may go up a little bit, but I've been getting calls about the 50/50, and I've been telling them, I'm taking their information, I'm telling them, I'm thinking in July, we're going to start a 75-25, because that would really help the disadvantaged residents, that lowered cost. And so I'm just waiting for word if we're going to do that. So I have sidewalks getting evaluated every day, but I'm not taking any money at the moment, because I tell them I would hate for someone to pay 50% if, in a couple months, it's only going to be 25%.
And I'm gonna close out with this. What is the annual budget for the funding that's coming in to state for street repairs? I know on Marvin Street, from Edmond, I think maybe to Gillespie, it was projected to be repaved. They paved from Moore Street to, I think, Damon. John Daly did it last year. The street between Edmond and Van Wagner, or Edmond and Gillespie, was a tear down, because it was just so bad they just didn't want to repave it. I'm not sure if that's projected to be done this year. It was on the list to get done up under John Daly, so I don't know if that's on the back burner. It's on Marvin Street between Edmond and Van Wagner, or Edmond and Gillespie. I'm not sure how far they was going down, but they said it needed to be completely tore up or something and redone, and that's why they didn't do that. But when they did the assessment of the street, they did do Marvin from Moore to Damon. Are we looking at additional dollars to help with streets, or are we just going based on what we have now? Are y'all looking to request any kind of money from the ARPA dollars to help with streets? Because I'm sure all of us have streets that is in need of repair. And I think Welch was on, I'm not sure if we approved Welch, but I was telling my colleague, Jerry Winfrey Carter, that I believe that we approved, I'm not sure, I think did we approve the repavement of Welch Street?
Yeah, I believe you did. It was on the list of projects, and then the county didn't get the funding for it. So we
I
had,
thought we approved it.
you did, and there
Okay.
was about, I want to say there's going to be a couple roundabouts on Welch, and because we lost the money,
Roundabouts on Welch?
I want to say that's what they were, I'm pretty certain that's,
Welch and Dayton.
yeah.
Welch and Dayton.
Welch
But,
and Dayton?
but it's not happening anyways because the county didn't get the money. We did not, we put in our list of what we'd like to do. The city engineer puts together a list a wish list, and then they let us know if we're getting any of them at the
How much
county.
was the county going to contribute towards that?
Not sure, I am not sure.
Is there,
That'd be an answer for, that would be our engineer could probably answer that, so I can get that to you.
could we look and see if that street will be eligible for opera dollars to put some funding towards Welch Street? Because Welch Street do need to get done. I think I tore my tire up on Welch Street. I might have to bill it to my councilwoman over there in the 5th Ward. But,
We just had patchers on it today.
huh?
They were
We just had patchers on it today on Welch.
Oh, afterwards.
They were doing hot asphalt today. But
Okay.
the answer is for ARPA money, we cannot use it for streets. There is a other project that's coming out, that the government has already put in, now it's coming to the state, and we'll see how it's dispersed. The IJAS, I think it is, or AJIS. It is money specifically for bridges, streets, dams, for roadways and such, where road goes through to have work done.
So
And
what about
but we
the-
have to wait and see what comes out of that. We don't know anything about it, except that the government has said that it's going to be there, and now the state has to make determinations on how they're going to allow it to be dispersed.
What about the governor fix the damn roads campaign? Did
That's-
that help to get any of our roads, city roads fixed?
We had Court Street was fixed, we've had Atherton redone from Dort to Vance Lake. DuPont, a large amount of DuPont was taken care of. And when we did that, we also did the water main underneath, which is my big thing, is anytime, and you've heard me argue that already here, is if they're going to tear up a street, we need to do the water main underneath, and thank goodness to council to allow ARPA money, one of the first ones spent, to take care of the Miller Road water main.
So who do the, and this, I'm gonna be finished with this, Council President Burns. The water main breaks, I know in front of my house, the water main broke, and they came and fixed it, and the asphalt job that they did is horrible. It's all bumpy, lumpy, it is just jacked up, and I appreciate, you still can't even drive over the asphalt that they put down.
That asphalt is probably cold, what we call cold patch. It happened during the winter, correct? And so we will have crews that will come back out, and throughout the summer, we have crews doing nothing but, if you see in the budget, it says water cuts, and that's money coming in from the sewer department or the water department monies. There's money set aside from them to come into streets to repair those water cuts from water main breaks or sewer work that was done, and sewer breaks that are taken care of in the city. So it's on a list to be done, and this summer, they try to catch up with ones that were done last winter. They try to get done this summer.
So this one that's in front of my house might not get done this year.
It should get done this year.
Ugh.
Again, I don't know how many we had one year, a couple of years, we haven't gotten them all done, but we had over 300 one year
Okay.
in one winter. So then we try to catch up the next year
All right,
when we have fewer to do.
I'm done.
But having the extra, as was asked earlier about extra people, that allows us to do multiple things with our crews.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I ain't pleased with the trash situation, and you did say the trash was up under Public Works, even though we got a blight department. The garbage trucks is what's needed, not dumpsters. I'm not saying dumpsters ain't needed, but the garbage company, even in a bid, if the bid contract would have been more specific to add in their community cleanups, that would have helped us. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Councilman Mays, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Brown and McCoy and whoever is with him. Ma'am, your name was,
Catherine Newman?
Mrs. Newman, I know you've been around for a little while. Your name came up during the garbage process. But what I'm looking at, Mr. Brown, you started out by saying that you operated as an enterprise fund in transportation, but the Department of Public Works entails more than just the transportation. You call it a department, some call it a division. And so transportation is not a department, is it? Do you know?
Isn't it a department? Yeah. Yes, transportation is a department underneath transportation, as I stated earlier. We have streets as a subdivision.
Let me use my time pretty quick just to answer the question that I asked. I don't want long explanations. I'm headed somewhere. So I'm going to make a note that you describe transportation as a department, and then the Department of Public Works is a department. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm concerned about that because under the new charter, it should only be 8 departments, and I'm counting them as I try to budget those 8 departments. And then we got folks calling stuff divisions for convenience, but I'm steady hearing departments. If I could get you, let me do this, Mr. Brown. I see Miss Newman talking to you, but you can change it later. What I'm trying to do is use my time valuably. You know, I'm not out here to be getting arrested and removed. I'm trying to do a budget, millions of dollars worth in the middle of an environment. So if I may, don't just interrupt me, because this crowd go crazy about that. At least raise your finger or say something. But I see y'all talking, I'm trying to get your attention. I'm looking at the revenue category for major streets. $12 million, $12,064,000. You see that?
Under
For 2023.
Under what heading? 202?
Major street fund. Total revenue, 2023, $12 million. $12,064,508 to be exact. Do y'all see that?
No, that's not it. That's not the number you just gave. Again, Mr. Mays, I made a mistake earlier in regards to departments and division. The department is DPW. Okay, everybody else is a division underneath it.
Including transportation.
Transportation is
It's
one
a lot of
also,
mistakes
but-
made around here.
Okay.
But let's get back to the
I'm trying
money.
to correct it.
Let's
so
get
it's
back to
right
the
there.
money.
What number?
Major street fund. Revenue category, revenue by category, total revenue $12,064,508. $12 million.
I'm trying to find it.
I mean, and while you look for it, the expenditure category gonna be higher, 17 million. This is how I do budgets. The operations and stuff I get into after the money. I hear a lot of talk about the operations. If you put the money there, that's how you get the operations. If you don't put the money there, you're gonna get the same old same.
Point of information
What's your point of information?
through you to the speaker. I believe it's on page 36.
Oh, I know it's on page 36. I thought they knew. I mean, I can show them mine.
This is what they're not looking at ours. They're looking at this.
I mean, this is their department. These are their expenditures. That's probably one of the major expenditures, major streets. I'm trying to figure out how much is general fund and how much is from the state. You see it, Mr. Brown?
On page 36, yes, sir. That's what we were trying to come up with.
Okay, you could.
If you give us numbers, we can get there faster. But
Well, I want
you're
you to
asking
give
for
me
proposed-
numbers and
the
I can
proposed
get there faster.
2023 is a total of $12,064,508.
That's correct.
That's what you're looking at.
That's
Okay.
the revenue.
Right, those are the revenues coming in from the state. There's nothing there that is coming in from general fund.
Okay. And
what you
then
just
you've
asked.
got 17 million in expenditures. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the fund balances that we see up under that, all of those fund balances come from state revenue.
The current fund balances are state revenues we've already received. That's the fund balance that's there. We are expecting monies to come in, but we have been really frugal, so to speak, in spending money in streets.
Mr. Brown.
And let me
Mr.
finish,
Brown.
please.
No, let me use my time
Councilman
wisely.
Mays.
Please, Mr. Brown.
Councilman Mays.
Mr.
Councilman Mays, please. So-
Don't y'all start, please.
Councilman Mays, he did ask a question. Can we allow him to answer the question that you asked, sir? And then that way we can proceed.
But then allow me the same half
I
hour
abs-
you allowed Mr.
I will.
Okay, then he can talk to the
Hold
cows
on just a
come
second,
home.
please.
Go ahead. I asked a
Excuse me,
simple
Councilman
question.
Mays, I will absolutely allow you the amount of
Okay,
time as I
then
always have
let him talk.
to ask your questions.
Go ahead,
Could you
finish
please
the
answer his question, Mr. Brown? Thank
Okay.
you.
As I started to say, we've been frugal in regards to that. The city of Flint has been frugal and not spending as much as is coming in. We've built up a large amount in our fund balance, and the state will look at that. If we keep that fund balance too high, they'll look at it and say, we don't need to give them as much money because their fund balance is too high now. They're not using what we're giving them. So Mr. Daly last year pushed quite hard to get more streets taken care of, more asphalt work being done, et cetera. We've added on more people, more summer help, so to speak, our part-time people, to again, try to stay up at that larger amount of work that we were getting done last year. We're hoping to get that much or more done this year. That will bring down that fund balance. We're going to bring that fund balance down to a part, and then after that, we have to do everything by balancing. So right now, it's a high fund balance, so we want to take some of those monies down. So we're taking money out of the fund balance, as it shows right there on page 36, to use to get more done this year and get more work done and pull it down so that when we get our next allocation of money from the state, we won't get anything removed from it because we have too much in a balance.
Thank you. Mr. Mays, you have the floor, sir.
Madam Chair, I really wish you would let me, when I get the floor, direct my specific questions, because when they go through these long explanations, they can do that with y'all in governmental operations, they can do it in finance, but when I ask a specific question about the amount of fund balance and what line, I don't need all of that. I know what I'm doing. I'm going somewhere. And I don't like all of that mess about what we gonna do, how we gonna operate. I'm trying to deal with specific numbers, categories, funding. I don't need to know about the operations unless I ask at this time. So I wish that you would share it in a way where when I get the floor, I can do what I'm doing, and they can talk to y'all about the operations till the cows come home. Now, the operations are relevant to me funding, but let me do it my way. I don't like for them folk coming up here just taking control of what's going on and y'all backing them, and I listen to stuff that I just be quiet on. Now, I'm going to get back to the budget. You got 12 million in revenue. You got 17 million in expenditures, and we're just in major streets. And your department is way more than major streets. And then you're showing a beginning fund balance of 17 million and a projected, I guess, ending fund balance of 12 million. And so you've explained that. Now let's go to local streets. Local streets, the revenue is 3,800,000, correct? Correct?
That is correct. 3 million, $892,855 is what's in the budget currently.
And the expenditures for local streets is $7,153,000, correct?
That is correct.
And the fund balance is $8 million, and the ending fund balance $5,400,000, correct?
That is correct.
So when we look at local streets, and then some of them toe up, and I know that Mr. Daly was in charge of that, so before I got there, you went to describing how y'all gonna eat that fund balance up this year and get more work done. That's what you was trying to tell me?
That's what I did say. I said we wanted to make sure that we drew down our fund balance so that we won't get stuck by the state saying that they don't want to give us money because there's too much money in your fund balance to begin with.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that because for some of the conditions of the street, whether you need street pavers, equipment, more personnel, I think that these are some high fund balances. And so I don't know what you budgeted to do different this year, but there's a pattern of them ending fund balances. And the pattern has stayed the same. When you look at the next year beginning and ending fund balance, in major streets, I don't see major changes. You predicting what you'll do, but when you look at the next year, I don't see them fund balances dissipating like that. When you go down to local streets, I see some change, but I'm more interested in this fiscal year getting some stuff done and not carrying them big fund balances, particularly in light of hearing you say that the state might not give us money if we carry them. Is there additional equipment or manpower that's needed to deal with some of this?
Well, you heard earlier that we are hiring more part-time people to get work done. We have more monies going into asphalt. Last year, this current fiscal year, we had to go back to fund balance and ask for more monies for asphalt because of so much was used up in the first half of the year. We were beyond actually what we had budgeted. So we are trying to get more done, yes.
So, Mr. Brown, let's look at that part of the budget where we look at the number of people in public works on page 54. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's look at the public works category. The transportation administration, 6 people. Who are those?
Well, they would be myself, DPW director. It is our city engineer, our accountant,
Waste services.
our waste coordinator, and
Technical support.
our technical support.
Who is the waste coordinator? Heather Griffin.
Yes, sir.
How much do Heather Griffin make?
I don't have that number offhand.
Well, I want the numbers for each of those 6 administrators by the time we get the call back. Is that a logical request?
We can get that. Yes, sir.
Okay, make a note of that. Let's go down the streets. You got 26 in streets. Who are they?
I can't give you every single name, but those positions would be the streets foreman and the maintainers that work on with them.
And how much do they make?
I, again, don't have that number off the
Can
top
we
of my
have
head.
that number and those people as well by the time we get the call back?
Yes, sir.
Traffic engineering is going from 8 to 6 from what I'm looking at. What you got? Is theirs all engineers?
No, go ahead, Rod.
No.
Mr.
Actually-
McCoy, how can you talk close in the mic?
Actually, we lost Sherry Tolbert. She was one on the signal side. But everything else should stay the same.
Well, they got rid of Joel Barnes because he was going to retire. Their contract.
Ms. Newman, can you talk into the mic unless it's private? I want to hear all of what's being said.
Well, we had two people on the electrical side of traffic engineering.
I mean, when the traffic lights go out,
Yeah.
they're gone now?
No, Sherry Tolbert just retired in March, and the other person that was with her, the electrician, he was going to retire in June, and John Daly was going to contract out the department. However, that second employee is not going to retire in June, and so that's where it's going down by 2 in the budget. We need to put those positions back in, plus a couple more, because 2 people cannot handle all the electrical part.
Right, because I get a lot of calls when them lights go out, and,
Yeah.
you know, I've seen accidents on Pearson and DuPont. So is those positions budgeted? They're not in the budget?
They are not in the
Let's
budget.
see if we can put that back in with an amendment. Can you make a note of that amendment?
Yes, when the
Okay.
budget was put together in January, it was a whole different plan.
Beg your pardon?
When we did when we put that budget together in January, it was a whole different plan because we
Yeah.
thought we would have nobody left
Well,
in
let's
that
plan
department.
to bring
so-
an amendment maybe before we close this budget out, because you don't want to wait till those people leave and then you got a mess out there with traffic signals. So I would recommend that. And if nobody sponsors it, I'll sponsor the budget amendment, and we'll just wait to see what folks vote and do.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. This Utilities Administration, what is that? 3 people in there.
Oh, that'd be tomorrow.
And Mr. McCoy, while they're looking at that, do you fall into the one of the 6 in the Transportation Administration now that Daley is gone?
That wouldn't be me.
I do believe so, yes.
I believe you would too.
Right.
When it come back, we'll see what they got.
Utility Administration would be Yolanda Gray as our,
I know who that is.
okay, myself is also in that. I'm a
So-
partial in both of them.
You got 2 positions. That's
Correct.
got something to do with the licensing,
Right.
right?
And I'm not,
Melanie?
and is Melanie part? No, Melanie.
Well, we'll get
No,
there.
the other one would be our backflow preventer person.
And we'll
Falls
get there,
under that.
because I want to give you a chance to bring this itemized list of who and how much for each position on the callback. I know you had certain licenses that might qualify you, and I know we had to have those positions. Look at pollution control, 38. That's the big one. Now, Mr. McGaha or Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, we now getting away from transportation. Water pollution control would be you, right? Department of Public Works?
Yeah, for utilities, water pollution control, water treatment plant, and water service center, we'll all be here tomorrow for that.
So they'll be here tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Let's look and see. So it said today from 5:30 to 8:30. Water pollution control and water service. Is it something that's
No, that's
on
for tomorrow.
tomorrow that I didn't know about? I haven't heard. It's new to me. So what time tomorrow, Madam Chair?
Councilman Mays, it is on the schedule for tomorrow.
At
Um,
5:30
Tomorrow
to
is
8:30.
Let me-
what? What's tomorrow?
let-
April the 29th?
Tomorrow
The
is.
28th?
Tomorrow.
Today's the 27th.
Okay, I see. So today is the 27th, then my mistake. You got Public Works, Sanitation, Transportation, Traffic, and then tomorrow. Okay.
You see it,
Water
Councilman
service
Mays? You got
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I see it now. So, Mr. Brown, where can I find your department, which includes more than just major streets and local streets, correct?
That's correct.
Where can I find the rest of your department? Do you know?
It's there where it says the 3 things, Transportation Administration, Streets, and Traffic Engineering are the 3 majors under Public Works. or 3 divisions, as you called it, under Public Works that handle all of the duties that we just talked about.
And that's it for your department?
That's not it for my department.
Okay,
I also have the whole utility side with water and wastewater, water distribution, and sewer maintenance.
And that'll be tomorrow?
That'll be tomorrow, sir.
But now let's go, I'm gonna take you to another page, Mr. Brown, before we get off of this. I wanna take you to page, I don't know if it's numbered, but this is what Mr. Murphy was talking about. This page ain't numbered, but waste collection abatement. Now, that rubbish collection fund, it talks about neighborhood cleanups. From everything I can hear, that's still your budget. And the reason I want to talk about that, and you can stop me and interrupt me if I'm wrong, but it shows revenue for rubbish collection fund of $6,796,000. But Mr. Murphy brought it up, and I'm bringing it up too. You only got waste collection, litter abatement, $14,000, and you got neighborhood cleanup, $20,000. That's kind of piss poor from my viewpoint. What
It doesn't
page?
have a page number.
I don't know if it's a page on
No
here.
page number.
It's in the back. And see, that's what I'm concerned about, budgets. And if this is part of your budget, now that was forecasted for 22-23 proposed budget. It ain't no way I'm gonna try to let only 14,000, that's supplies and operating expense, and then supplies and operating expense for neighborhood cleanups, 20,000. I think that's a little short. Do you see it, Ms. Newman?
Yes, we asked for 70,000.
You asked for 70,
And
that
it was-
still might be a little short
and
for
it was-
me.
yes.
It's council time now. Let's see if we can get this right.
Okay.
If the mayor and administration them don't, it's our turn.
Yeah.
I want to know what everybody need and want. This is the time to do it as we get ready to try to move this city forward. So you see it, Ms. Newman. Is that in this DPW budget? You see it, Mr. Brown? I don't want to mess up your protocol.
So what line, what is that? What line number?
226.
Are you talking about where it says, on your pages, the blank, the unnumbered page, it says blight management?
No, it says rubbish collection fund.
Okay. I'm just trying to find it, sir.
You can look at this one if you want, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
Mr. Mays, could you please ask, or point of whatever you want to ask, what department number is that?
Okay, thank you.
Where is it?
I can find it. It's the end. It's at the end.
It's at the end? Okay.
Yeah.
226.
Here we go. I got it.
Okay. We're looking in the wrong spot.
226.
226. 202, 226? What's the full?
What was the point of information to the speaker if it was to me? If it's not,
Because
you know,
was
I don't
wondering
care what y'all do.
What the department number was, please.
Oh, well, I can ask him, what's your department number, but I
Well,
don't
technically,
see.
we do not have to use, because this is an informal meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
So-
want to be not formal and then get through out again. Y'all change the
Councilman
rules
Mays,
every day.
no,
I ain't buying
no,
into it. I want to follow some
Excuse
rules.
me, Councilman
May
Mays,
I
I'm not
continue?
changing the rules.
May I continue, please?
Just a second, please. I
This is a
want
little
to make
much.
it, that's fine, but I want to
It
provide.
ain't fine. It might be fine, but you
Excuse
ain't
me,
on the news.
I'm the chair.
You say
So,
what?
excuse me,
Say what?
I'm the chair. I want to be
Hey,
very,
look,
I want to
Mr. Brown,
be very
I'll
clear.
get with you on the side. I'm not
Excuse
sitting to
me,
argue with these
excuse
folks
me.
in no budget hearing.
Councilman Mays,
I
you
mean,
are out of
Ms. Byrd.
order.
No, you out of order. I got the floor.
You have been issued a
You
warning.
said ain't no rules.
No,
I
excuse
wouldn't
me,
get
I have
this
read
if
the
you're
disorderly
warning.
conduct.
Talking about this ain't no.
I have read the you didn't let me
Hang on
finish.
with that mess.
Excuse
Who
me,
you been
can you
talking
have
to?
him remove
You?
officer, please?
You ain't gotta remove me.
Yes, we
I'm
do.
gone. You can cut that mess out, trying to
Excuse me,
discredit
can you leave? We'll take a 5-minute recess while he's removed from the meeting.
Your foolish self. No, you're gonna remove myself. You won't get the pleasure.
I'm not doing that with him.
I was moving on. That move. That's right.
I will answer the question, though.
Thank
That
you.
is our
And
226.
I apologize.
I
Can
did
you?
find it. I was looking
Yeah.
at 202 and I said, where's 226?
226 is for our trash.
Okay.
Waste collection sanitation is what it's put under. It's 226. And some of those numbers, like I said, we had asked for a larger number. They were put to smaller numbers. That's what's coming out of this budget and ours budget, but
Mr.
Blight
Brown,
is
can you hold
separate.
on just a second, because we do have disorderly conduct, and I want to make sure that everyone is heard, and I truly do apologize, because there is a decorum that we do have to have respect, and Councilwoman Priestley, you asked the question that we should all be able to answer. I don't appreciate, I make sure that when I'm chairing, that I give everyone respect, and I make sure that I'm fair. I will not be talked over and disrespected, and I will not allow the administration to be treated that way either.
Thank you.
I will not. So we're going to wait, because he knows with the acoustics of the building that it echoes back to us. And I want to make sure, because Quincy, Councilman Murphy, you had a question about the rubbish, about that too, so that we can hear perfectly, we can hear clearly.
Is it not in there?
Yeah, you're fine.
There's plug outlet right here. Yep.
Liddell, Councilwoman Lewis, are you ready? You ready? Because he's on there. You can proceed, Mr. Brown. She just needs to get a little power.
She felt powerless.
Okay, the comment there was about litter abatement, 13,000 only. It was 14,600 and down to 13,000. That line item is what we use for tire removal, for tires that are picked up in the city because they're not picked up by the trash. They have to be picked up by city employees, and that's for, most of that money actually goes towards Blight in their picking up and taking it in. That's money that we pay for. Then a lot of that money gets reimbursed because Blight has we have a grant for at least 10,000, and I think it's larger, but I can't remember the number at this second, that we have for tires, for tire removal in the city. So when they go up and there's a whole bunch of tires in a yard, our Blight crews throw them into a truck or call the company and they come get it, and then we have to pay for the disposal cost of that for each tire. We also do, which is not related to this directly, but we also do a tire buyback program in the summer, and the county has a grant, and the county helps us to pays for the tires, and then the city has a line item elsewhere where we can take money and we give back, I think it's $1 a tire. $1 a tire up to 24 tires or 25 tires. So if someone cleans up an area and brings all those passenger tires into us, we pay them $1 a piece for the pickup fee. And then it gets recycled, and the county actually pays for our recycling of those tires. And that's held right at the recycling location. So that is not what Blight uses. I mean, they do to a degree, but Blight has monies in other places than here. Go ahead. I get corrected by someone who's been here longer than I have.
We know
been.
Catherine knows it all. She's been in every department.
Only been
so-
here 31 years.
Right.
So we have a PO with the tire disposal company, and Blight uses our PO. So I believe that the grant is even separate from this PO. They get that many tires. So Blight brings the tires over to the disposal place. We pay the bills in our department, so.
And then we put back together, like we did last October, we had to put together all of the payments that we did,
Yes. we did.
and then we turned that into, that was under the amount of money actually that was in the grant. So we didn't use our full grant, so that money then came back in.
I think that's the first year they had a grant for that, actually, because I forgot about it.
Yeah, okay. So we have a grant again this year. We talked with the state because we knew we were under, talked with them and made sure that we could get the grant again, and they were happy to give it to us again. And hopefully we'll spend that whole amount, that whole 10,000, or whatever the number is.
That grant is for $1 a tire, is that what it is?
No,
Or
no,
it's
that
just
grant
for for the whole tire removal process?
Is for tire removal in the city. The buyback program, the city has a buyback program where we pay the $1 a tire when they bring it to on one day a year and in conjunction with Genesee County.
Okay.
And this young lady here is the one holding the money and checking the IDs and making sure the person gets paid correctly.
I make sure they're city residents before they get their money.
Right.
I have a Flint address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where 30 years plus helps.
You want me to go now?
Yeah, Councilwoman Priestley, yes, you can go ahead and have the floor to ask your questions.
Okay, I don't have a lot of questions because I didn't know exactly where your budgets were. Now I know, and I thank you very, very much for that information. Now, I see that under Public Works, we are losing 3 people in streets. I always go for the positions because that's where a lot of the money goes. Why are we going down to 26 from 29 under streets? Do you know?
That was stated earlier, but because
I'm
of
sorry.
that's okay. If it was stated earlier in regards to our signals system, our signals group, the 2 last people that were here, that were doing all the work, were said to be retiring by June, so Mr. Daly did not put that into our budget. Since then, one of the 2 have reconsidered. Plus, it will save us money. It's a lot cheaper for us to go out and do it than to be calling an electrical company to come and do it, and we have better control, et cetera. So I'd much rather have it under us, and those empty positions, and there may even be another 1 or 2 added, because I also want to bring in maintainers to work with the electricians to make sure that they can do a lot of work other than actually pushing power around and plugging into the power. They can turn something off, do repair work, turn it back on and be fine. Only when you hook up the wiring, and I probably should give this to Mr. McGaha, but we're trying to get that, and that's something that we were going to talk about today, that we need to add, and we will have that before the final.
Okay, so you want to actually add,
I want to add a couple of positions, probably 2 would probably be, if it's 28, we'd probably need 30,
didn't we
Whatever
approve
the- I don't
a
have the number in front of me.
resolution for something?
31 maybe.
Did we approve a resolution for an outside company? That's just.
No, that was something that was going to be handled by Mr. Daly, and he has left, and so now we're trying to scramble and get things back to what we think will work the best.
Okay, all right. Traffic engineering, you lost 2 people down there.
Right.
Same
Same, we'll be
type of
putting those
thing.
2 back in and maybe adding 1 more into that group.
Okay, and I'm not going to talk about water pollution control or anything
That's
like that,
tomorrow.
because that's tomorrow. The rest of them is water. All right, because I was wondering if you needed those positions back. You know, I mean, we definitely want to not, if you didn't want them back, let's put them in police, because that's where I want to put them. I want to put all those.
But again,
positions.
both,
But you need them.
well, we need them, and transportation as well as utilities are not general fund. So if you
Right.
were try to say, we can't throw the money back that way, it has to
Right.
be used.
Right, in
Water
that
money
fund.
has to be used for water and sewer monies collected have to go for that. The
So-
monies coming in from the state for here have to be used in streets and in Act 51 related endeavors.
So if Blight is using money for dumpsters out of your fund, they're using your PO for that, and it's getting charged directly to your fund?
Yes, but for some reason, I'm thinking that they have not requested the money for dumpsters this fiscal year. I have to double check.
Well, they're coming to us soon, but I won't be here during that. But that's a question that we need to ask. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We need to ask about the Blight money for dumpsters.
For the dump, yeah, because that's a
That's a thing.
major issue, because Blight is stating there is no money for dumpsters right now, and that they actually wanted to request for, I believe, ARPA funds or to try to obtain a grant. So there is issues with the dumpsters, and we're cleanup time, where
Right.
all of the neighborhoods are doing cleanups, as you stated, Councilman Murphy, and they don't have dumpsters.
Do you know, in our sanitation contract, because I was told that we are entitled to 15 dumpsters per quarter. Are we required to use them for if we need more dumpsters, or could we put that out for a bid and get a reduced price than what we get from Priority? Is it Priority? I don't know. So I blanked out on the name. So
We've, as far as I know, we have not done that in the past. The 15 are the 15 30-yarder or 40-yarder? It's the largest one that they have, so, and there's a set price for that. So if we end up with, you know, if the block group or whoever says we need a 20-yarder or a 10-yarder, then we just pay that amount of money and there's still money there. It's the amount of money that 15 of the large dumpsters would bring. So it may be more than 15. We may get 20 in a 3-month period.
because I believe I was told that she used over 300 dumpsters last summer, well over 300. Don't quote me on the number, because I don't remember it sticking in my head that well. But I'm just wondering if we couldn't get a better price if we did a competitive bid or something on it. I don't know. It's something to think about to help our fund balance, and so maybe we can get more dumpsters out there and available. That's a big thing. I also thought, could we buy dumpsters? But then the question came up with, how would we dump them and how would we move them? And that seems to be a cost prohibitive situation. But it's something that we want to think about, getting the best bang for our buck. And if that's a bid out in the early spring or late winter, so that we can have that in place, that might be something that we want to consider for next year, because I don't think you can get a bid out and resolved in time for this year. But definitely something that we want to think about for next year. But you said you actually want 70,000 for neighborhood improvements or cleanup, and I can see that 100%. And I guess that was basically the big questions that I had at this point, now that I know exactly where we're at. I might have some, and again, but the neighborhood cleanup, like Mr. Murphy said, that's the big thing, I think. And I wanted to make sure that you had enough of your employees that you need. Let's see, what else was there? Was there anything in your budget that you wanted that you didn't get besides that additional 50,000?
Well, we subtracted positions that we want to get back, so yes, you could
So
add
more
that.
positions?
It's because we've looked at it a different way, and we think that it'll work better for us and for our residents.
So in the sanitation, they've got it as a balanced budget, total revenues and expenses. So, and that's the rubbish collection fund. And I'd have to look at the other ones more appropriately, because,
Well, Oh, I know, I was going to say, and as I said before, we support blight as a group because, you know, if it's between the sidewalk and the right-of-way is where trash is, we can use some of our monies, our Act 51 monies to do that, a small percentage. That's why it's not 150,000. But the other part is that when I say we support blight, not only by monetarily, but whether it's streets or water service center, sewer department, or the water distribution, they've asked for us to bring a tractor with a bucket because there's so much, a front end loader. And we'll get, if we're working in an area, we can free somebody up, they go drive, help them get that taken care of and put into a dumpster, so the next day everything's gone. So we have done that, we have assisted in the past, the past 2 times that I've been here, last year and the year before, and this year, we have been doing that. And we, again, support blight to try to get as much done and taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah, as we all know, that's a major issue.
It is.
In our thing. The 50/50 program is the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And how much can you get for me to do it in driveway? No. Debt service, $119,000. I understand that debt service is not something that you can really handle, or where did that debt come from?
I can't answer that question. That's put in by our finance department, I think.
Okay. All right, because I don't know, it's principal portion, so I don't.
Councilwoman Priestley, real quick, the dumpster budget, because you were talking about that, was the dumpster budget used last year? Or was it, because is it carrying, can you add some clarity to that? Because there's some questions, like when I asked about the dumpsters, I was told that the dumpster budget for this year was used up last year.
Was used up from July through October or December, when we could still pick things up. That's a possibility. And the
Okay.
money that we have, like I said, we allow them to use it, and
So you have
keep
no money
track
for
of it, but-
June? You have
Pardon
no
me?
money for this fiscal year, but starting July 1, there's money.
Well, I think there was 20,000 for this year.
I'm thinking it hasn't been touched. I have to check on that.
Okay, we'll have to take a
I'm
look,
not
and we'll get
sure.
that back to you for our
I-
next.
I can look.
Catherine, can you email all of us that information? And then when we wrap up, I'm going to send a list of
And that
questions
would-
to you.
What fund is that out of? Refresh, 206, is that what I saw? 226?
226.
226. All right, I'm gonna give up my time for right now and let someone else, and I have June's, or through January, the budget report, and it might include the 226 fund, but I don't think it includes any restricted funds. But I'm gonna double check and I'll see what's in there
Okay.
as of January 31st.
And if you have a question, like I said before to all of council, if you have a question, go ahead and send it to me, and we'll do what we can to answer, even
Are you-
before said meeting.
Councilwoman Priestley, is that it for right now?
Yep, right
Okay.
now.
Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, I believe you were next, then, okay. Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, just piggybacking off of what Councilwoman Priestley said about making sure that you have what you need as far as workers, employees. Did you guys ever fill Mr. Daly's position yet? And how is that?
We have the position out for posted so that we can get people, but currently, Mr. McGahow is filling that position.
Okay.
And if I say his name wrong, okay, good. It took me a while to get it right, too, so don't feel bad, anybody else. And I've worked with him a little longer than you have, so. But with Rod here, he's filling that position, and we moved him up, and we moved another person on his original crew up into his old position to make sure that we have training going on in case he gets it permanently.
Okay, so total, as a total, how many under Transportation Administration, under Streets and Traffic Engineering, a total of how many people are you looking to fill positions, and are these positions posted in Human Resources?
We are constantly, any position we have open is constantly put out there and through HR to get people interested in. Again, we still have the same problem in that you put out a position, you have 4 positions open, and you get 2 people who come in and to interview. There isn't the number of people that we'd like to see. We did put in for our laborers, and these are people who come back usually every year. We got 11
I think we have space for 10 of them.
for 10, and I think there were 11, so it'll be the first time we will be turning somebody away this time. And then we also have CDL people, and there were 6 on that list, and I think we have 4 positions there?
6.
Or is there 6? Oh, there is 6, okay.
Yeah.
So we're 6, and, so we'll get those 16 part-time people when we can get them in as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And then our goal is to try to entice them to come into a full-time position if one's open
Okay.
towards the end of the summer.
Okay.
Because we'd like to, every division wants to be filled. Every
Right.
division, because if there's a hole, that means that there's somebody not getting a job done. It's more important, not more important, it's important in all divisions. But when you have like wastewater, where you have a 24-hour operation, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but one person out, then that's 8 hours overtime you have to have, because state says you have to have a number of people there.
Right.
And if we go against that, they can come in and fine us and do a lot of fun stuff that we don't want to see.
Okay.
So I shouldn't call it fun, but I'm being a little sarcastic there.
Now, let me ask a question about streets. And I want to talk about Welch Street. Now, and to your point, Councilman Murphy, Welch Street for the 5th Ward extends from M.L. King to, we cross over Chevrolet and to right there at Milbourne. That's where I stop. I don't go all the way down.
I get the rest.
But Welch Street is a disaster, okay? And we got to do something about Welch Street. I'm going to go out and I'm going to tear Welch Street up and refill it myself. I was driving down Welch Street yesterday, the part right there from Ballinger to Chevrolet.
That's the worst.
And I'm driving slow because I don't want to tear up my car. Somebody sped past me, and I just had to get over into the other side of the road because, you know, with all those little potholes and stuff, a rock could just pop up and dent your car, you know, nip your car. We got to do something about Welch Street. What kind of funding do we have?
Well, we did in the last funding round, put in for that to be taken care of, to be torn completely up and down, you know, and then we'll do underground stuff to it too, do the water mains, everything, and then rebuild the street up completely, except the money wasn't given to it because the county didn't go in with us on that. Now, if the, and I'm not sure of the actual letters, but the AJI, L or L, I forget what the 4 letters are.
Are you talking about the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act? Or are you talking about the bridges?
We're talking about the one that's coming up, that money has been given by the state, by the
Yeah.
federal to the states. It's the Job Act then?
The
J?
IIJA.
IIJA.
Yep, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act.
Okay, and that's infrastructure as in bridges and in streets.
Okay.
And so if that money comes, then we will be asking for as much as we can possibly get
Okay.
to do Welch, to do other streets that are in the bad shape, as I said, by our Pacer number. Pacer, we go and do resurfacing currently is mostly what we do. We have all the equipment for doing that. That doesn't build the street back perfectly, but for the Pacer numbers, when you do that, you get 10 to 11 years of good use out of it before it starts to fall apart, unless you have tons of main breaks or tons of sewer problems in that area where you have to do that, go back in and then the street cuts get taken care of at a different time.
Right.
The more street cuts, the more bumpity bumps we get, even after they're fully repaired. You know, you still have a little bit of sinking and such, so you'll get little divots or whatever you want to call craters.
Right.
Sometimes worse. Our biggest problem with, like I said, with Welch is we've been putting cold patch in there since December, because that's all we can use. Every time it rains, every time it gets cold, out that pops, it's all over the road. Now we have hot patch coming in, or hot asphalt mix coming in, so we'll be doing more repairs, try to get it as even as possible in that area.
We had patchers out today on Welch.
Point of information.
You have what?
We had patchers out on Welch today.
What's your point of information, Councilman
Through
Murphy?
you to the speaker, the funding that we approved for Welch, is that money still set aside?
There was no money given to it because MDOT and the county did not support it.
So I'm saying, I thought we approved back to my
You
follow-up.
did.
So if we approve some money set aside, correct,
No,
we never approved, what did we approve then?
Just, it was like a memorandum of support for, these were the projects we wanted to do, and you guys supported us. That was, we needed that before we could get it to the county.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so with that being said, since that didn't happen, now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can we come up with some funding to do Welch Street and some other streets? I mean, really all the streets. I'm looking at Mason. Mason is tore up. We have a lot of streets that's really tore up that we need to focus on. I'm glad we're doing Miller Road, because that's another street. Pasadena is pretty tore up between M.L. King and DuPont Street, right there. It's a big pothole right there on Pasadena Street that you have to actually swerve over, because if your tire get in that, it's gonna tear your tire up. So I'm just wondering what we need to do, and please look out for that funding that Councilwoman in the 7th Ward, Councilwoman in the 7th Ward is referring to. Also, I wanted to ask a question. I wanted to ask a question about the speed bumps, speed humps.
Speed humps.
The speed humps.
Yeah.
So, where is that funding for the speed humps coming from?
This last batch is coming from the ARPA money.
Okay,
This batch that we're going to order tomorrow or the next day is coming from ARPA.
okay. And we've already approved that. Have we?
nope.
Yeah.
Was that part of that?
It's under 75,000 is what I understand.
It's what?
It's under 75,000.
Oh, no.
Hold on just a sec, hold on. So basically, so we have, yeah. Hold on just a sec. So Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, I know what you're getting ready to say. It comes in underneath that 75,000, so council doesn't have to approve it. So 74,999, if it's under that, and it's coming, we can do that as many times as possible it's what is listed. But you got the floor back.
No, we need to change that immediately.
Point of
That has to happen.
What's your point of information?
And it shouldn't even happen like that, because the ARPA money to me.
Councilwoman,
Sorry, I believe that's true for our like general funding when we have it like,
Right.
allocated, but not of
Not for
ARPA.
ARPA.
I think we may be
Not
confused
for
on where the
ARPA.
money's coming from.
And if so, we need to,
Well, there's no rule on the ARPA, so that is not anything that can happen. It must come through council. And we
Oh.
didn't approve that.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
Our,
You know that happened.
Councilman Murphy, what's your point of information?
Again, may I?
Well, let me
Hang
provide,
on,
hold
hang
on,
on,
just,
hang on.
Councilwoman Worthy and Jerry Winfrey Carter, Mike Brown, you want to provide some clarity, because this is something that everyone is concerned about, that if we're with speed hump bumps, however we're paying for them, I think it is the sentiment of the council that we wanted to have come before the council. Because one of my questions was, and I'm the last one to speak, why are we ordering in so many small quantities for speed humps, as in 50? I mean, you could put 50 in just one neighborhood and not have enough in one ward. So can you provide some clarity to the 75,000 and how you are, because we have, and has this went through the compliance firm?
Okay, I just wanted to say, the first 10 that we bought came out of a police fund. I'm not 100% sure, and, you know, we think ARPA, but we may be wrong, and I want to make sure that's right. So yes,
Yeah.
I will get clarity on that and bring that.
Okay.
Can
And
you email everyone?
what I will do is I will write, like I did my last one, I write a letter, I'll send it to my boss, he'll send it to Inez to be distributed,
Okay.
if that works.
Does that satisfy everyone?
And we might
Yes.
do that for a lot of these
Okay.
questions we already have to try to get ahead of it.
Okay, and Councilwoman Winfrey
So-
Carter still has the floor. Can you wait,
So-
Councilman Murphy? Or is it? Can we let her finish, and I'll give you the floor? Oh, okay. And I will
I'm
let her
almost
finish.
done.
Yeah, and then so everyone
I'm
has at
almost
least the
done.
first
Y'all know I
time.
don't talk much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with the speed humps, I have to say that because I'm a little appalled, because I wrote maybe a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, I remember I asked to have speed bumps on Stockdale, okay? And I was told that it couldn't happen, so now I'm hearing a different terminology of speed humps. Now, what's the difference? And why wasn't I told that, okay, Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, instead of speed bumps, we can possibly get speed humps?
Well, before this, we never accepted any speed humps, bumps, nothing like that.
The other thing is, from what, and I may be wrong on this, but I'm going to tell you what I think, and if I make a mistake, I'll get back to you. But if the speed bumps, I think, are material that's put into the street itself, like asphalt, and you get an actual bump.
Okay.
A speed hump is something that's put down and is removable easily. I mean, it's not that you couldn't remove an asphalt bump, but that's the bump has been asphalt or whatever other material that they put on that
Okay.
street. A speed hump is a separate material being put over the street to give the same reaction of the thump, and that if you hit it too fast, you're going to hurt your car. So people slow down and go at hopefully under 25 or under, crossing them.
Okay. So,
Right. The other problem we have is speed bumps. If we were to put speed bumps in, when we go and do snow plowing and such, it tears up our equipment.
okay,
So all
speed
of these
bumps.
speed humps that we have, when we put them out towards the late fall, start of winter, we're going to have to pull all of those up so that we can do a good job cleaning the streets and not tear up equipment or tear them up, hitting them with our plows.
What?
Yes.
So for some
It's-
clarity,
So
Mr.
what is
Brown, you're stating, because I have some on El Dorado, they put them down and then they took them back up. Because we have the winter season, the plows cannot go over them. So these are removable. They take them, they're down in the spring, removed before our first snow or heavy snow, before our streets are plowed, as not to damage the
To damage the
plows
plow
and
or
anything else,
the unit.
correct? So a hump is removable, a bump is not. Would that be,
That's pretty close.
okay.
Okay. So, all right, how are you guys determining what streets need speed humps?
So far, the list have came from the mayor's office.
Okay. So can we have a copy of that list?
Yes.
Do we
Point,
have
point of information.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Okay, good. I'm glad we thinking a lot, yeah, because,
I
Madam
just
Chair.
sent in a request for another one so,
okay.
just now.
Hold on just
And-
a second. Okay, Ms. Lewis, can we let her finish it, then?
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to respond to, so from what I was told on how you can get speed bumps in your area, I just wanted to address that, but I'll wait.
You can, no, and go ahead, because I know I email, and I send it to Mr. Edwards, I send it to Mike Brown, and it was John Daly, and I make sure I tag all of them, but I'm going to tell you one thing, if you really want to get something done, send it to Catherine Newman, too. So just tag her in it.
Okay.
So, but that list, that's what I do, and that's how I was able to get mine, by emailing and putting the street, and also put the block number, because it may not be, because some of the streets may not, the streets are long, so always put the block number, the 100 block number that's in there.
So we need to revisit Stockdale, because they're using Stockdale as a speedway instead of driving down Welch Street. They'll cut over, get on Stockdale, drive all the way down Stockdale to Chevrolet. Then they'll do their donuts in the middle of Chevrolet and Stockdale. So we need to revisit that, because they can't speed down Welch Street right there, because it'll tear up the car.
That's one benefit.
There's already some speed bumps.
Right. And then you know, right there on Welch Street, and this is something I want to talk to you about too, Mr. Brown, doing something different with that road right there, Welch Street, in between ML King and DuPont. Well, ML King and right there where it has the median.
Yeah.
Yeah, something has to be done, because those little two-lane roads, they're too small. And then, you know, right there, Welch Street is torn up.
When we redo Welch Street, we're going to reduce that down to a 3-lane.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be best. Okay, I think that's it for now. I was concerned about the number of workers, making sure that you have what you need as far as employees. I'll talk about water pollution and everything tomorrow. And that's it for me for now, going off the top of my head.
Is that it, Councilwoman Winfrey Carter?
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Councilwoman Worthing, you have the floor.
Thank you. I may have missed this. So you are temporary it's Magaha. I think I got it now.
Yes, acting.
Acting. So you're not going to fill the position, someone else will, or are you looking to
I don't
fill?
know.
Okay.
It is out to the public.
Okay.
Out to be, I call bid, but posted out there. People will put in their resumes, put in that they'd like to do it. Then the city will go through its normal process of interviews and make a determination.
I would like to say, coming in, because this is now my 5th year, when we did not have a separate transportation director, nothing was getting done. It was too much for just the DPW director. And I noticed a huge difference. I know my other colleague was freaking out about another department, but it does fall under DPW. It's just, we need a separate person in charge, and I was just making sure that we kept that separate person in charge, because then you handle all our complaints. Roads is a big deal. You know, we're getting all kinds of calls about these speed humps. And I was told the same thing, Ms. Winfrey Carter, because I asked for speed bumps as well. Mr. Daly did not like speed bumps for the reasons that were stated, and I was told no. So speed humps must be a newer type
No,
technology?
we never really allowed anything until this new administration came in.
Okay,
It's
so,
always been the rule for the city of Flint, no humps, bumps.
gotcha.
I've been rejecting them for years.
But now Neely said, okay, basically? Is that what you're?
I'm not sure how it all went down. I was told by John Daly to do my part.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're trying these speed humps because it is I mean, I have the same problems and I will email everyone on that list to make sure the areas that my residents complain get those. Because, I mean, even just collecting signatures for this term, I was out there in the summer and I was witnessing what was happening out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is dangerous what they're doing in these neighborhoods. So I'm really hoping that they work, and I'm thankful that however this worked out, that we're allowing them because residents are getting really frustrated and not having a solution with the speed bumps. I didn't know what else to tell them. We don't have the cops to monitor where people are, doing their donuts and all of that. So. All right, good. We have someone, it's on the list to get filled permanently, and we're still having that separate department. That's good, because most of my colleagues didn't experience when it was all together, and it was too much. Things were not getting done, and this works really well. So thank
Let
you.
me just mention about those speed humps. It does slow people down, but it's just like adding another stop sign. They're going to make up for that time that they went over that speed hump. So it's going to work, but it's not going to work. Because studies will show
Yeah.
they slow down for that, they're going to make up for time no matter how they plan on doing it.
Right.
But hopefully it works.
Well, in any case, maybe it will at least slow them down where the children are and where people are. I don't know. If not,
We're hoping for the
maybe they
best.
can slow down enough we can catch their license plate. I don't know. Hoping it works. Thank you.
Councilwoman Lewis, would you like the floor?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So a few things. So we have the terminology mixed up. Bumps are what we have. Humps are asphalt.
No.
Well, according to the literature and what's online, yeah, when you look at bumps, that's what we have, and that's what everybody else called them too, bumps,
Well, when we ordered them, they were called speed humps.
humps.
The
Very
units, when you attach something to the road base to create it, is a speed hump, not a speed bump. A speed bump is the actual material being brought up, like the ones that I knew always, and they've taken them out since, but when I went through Grand Blanc to a friend's house, they had speed bumps in the subdivision just east of Saginaw. Bella Vista is the name of the subdivision. And they had them, there were 2 or 3 of them throughout the subdivision, and those were permanent.
They
So
were
when
permanent.
So, yeah, they were permanent, and they were called speed bumps.
Okay,
Because
so-
it was asphalt brought up, and then 2 humps there.
Okay, so let me pause
That's
you
the
right
humps, as opposed to a bump being a different material put onto the street.
there. Okay, so it sounds like we need to get an industry standard here with the terminology. But
Okay.
thank you for clearing that up. So you said that you went to your friend's house in Grand Blanc. So if they live in Grand Blanc, they get snow. So why can they handle the snow plowing issue, but we can't in the city? Why is it?
I can't answer that right now in regards to that, because that's what I've been told. That's why we've never put a speed hump in the city of Flint, is because of tearing up the vehicles. And maybe they went to that spot and they stopped, and, up, and then came down on the other side and pushed through. I don't know how they did that. I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I was told Grand Blanc, some of those neighborhoods are not privately owned, but they're kind of like they live on a lake and they pay extra money. So I think the county doesn't even do their cul-de-sacs or their.
It's an association.
Yeah, association fee. So.
Okay, because I also know that other municipalities throughout the city of, it's not the city, but the state of Michigan, they have these hump bumps. And they leave them down, and, because like I say, a lot of them are permanent, and they are able to maneuver this. So I think that this might be a time for us to look across the municipal lines to see how they're doing it. Because I know if they're doing it in Canton, Ann Arbor, and we have pictures, to to show it, I think it'd be good for us to, to stop assuming and see what can be done, because we can't live, I mean, just my personal opinion / fact, we can't afford to lift up these bumps, because these are serving as our, I guess, pseudo police officers to slow people down. So I think that if we could leave these down permanently, that's more of the solution that we need. So, so my other thing is, all right, so Fleming Road. I just had to throw out, I heard people throwing out their street, so I must throw out Fleming Road. Yeah, we must ride the middle line to avoid tearing up our car. And that's ground, well, yeah, that's ground for a head-on collision, and also for many busted tires. I had so many residents sending me people's busted tires and their busted tires saying, fix this hole in front of my house. So, so that's one street that we need to put on the radar. And then I also wanted to inquire about what I was told. So I know this is not from a council person's point of view, meaning that we could send an email, but I was told that the speed bumps and humps, whatever, they are going down through the tip line, meaning that people are calling the tip line, residents are calling the tip line, or they're sending in an email and they're giving the street and location in question, and that's how they are going about it. Now, that's what I'm told. Are you aware of that?
I am not aware.
No, the last list we got, I believe the police department made it up.
Okay, yeah, so the tip line, so I'm assuming that thing.
I didn't know where they got the locations from, but
Got it.
some of them were on major roads, and we had to take them off the list.
Oh, okay, because one thing I want to make sure that we have consistent messaging across the board. So I know it's great that the council people can put in a request. It's definitely great, but I want to make sure that it's a level of transparency and just consistency where the residents can reach out. Because like Councilperson Lewis, I might feel I need a speed bump here, but if we have 50 residents that need one elsewhere, I think that they might take a little priority over just one me. So that's just how I feel. I want to make sure that things are, again, my favorite word, what, Quincy? Equitable. So, and I believe that, my other question is about the tires. So how much do they charge per tire to dump?
I believe it's $2.50 per tire.
$2.50?
I think so.
Okay. So, because I already identified where I'm going to get my 25 from. So, okay, so.
That's what they charge us, but if you bring it to we do have a tire buyback scheduled for a Saturday in June, first or second Saturday in June, and it'll be $1 per tire, up to $25.
Yeah, I'm ready. I already identified my $25.
Okay.
So, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
Councilwoman.
have found the definition of a speed hump and a speed bump. This is on trafficsafetystore.com. Speed bumps are designed to improve pedestrian safety, reinforce stop signs in parking lots, reduce the risk of accidents on private residential streets, driveways, and parking lots. They are made to slow drivers down to between 2 to 5 miles per hour. A speed hump is designed to slow traffic on public roads such as schools, hospitals, anywhere reduced vehicle speeds are desired, be gentle enough so that emergency vehicles do not need to slow down, and industrial areas or areas with heavy truck traffic where high speeds can lead to an overturned vehicle. Speed humps are specifically designed to slow vehicles to between 10 to 15 miles per hour. So now we are well educated on speed humps and speed bumps.
Appreciate that. I have one more thing to say.
No, go ahead, because I'm the last one to speak, so go ahead. Go ahead, Judy.
Tom, between South Dort and Franklin, wants a speed hump. So add that to your list, and that's the one I submitted.
I'm sorry?
Between Franklin and Dort
between
Highway.
Franklin and Dort.
Yep. And that is not a major road, I do not believe. I do not consider that to be one.
It's not. We have one on Thom, but it's between Western and the first road down. I'm not quite sure what
Not Rich.
branch.
Branch, yeah, it would be
Branch.
Branch. Okay, that's great. That's in my ward. Thank you. I'm glad I got one.
Councilwoman Lewis, you have the
Give me a
floor.
second.
Thank you. So I forgot to bring up this important point. So being out there and witnessing how people are moving with the speed bumps, keep this in mind. When you put in the speed bumps, when people identify that a speed bump is approaching, and if they want to be a speedster, they will immediately turn down the street in front of the speed bump. So that's something to keep in mind, because on Myrtle, someone saw the sign and they saw the speed bump, so they turned really fast down Keller to avoid the speed bump on Myrtle. So it might be a good idea, for us to think logistically, like, okay, so if maybe we need to put one on Keller so they can still meet that hump when they turn. So it's not even an incentive for you to turn in front of the speed bump to go down the side street. So just something to think about logistically, because being out there and seeing this stuff, I'm like, wow, these people make it up every day. They find a new way to get around the rule. So that'll help us in the community. All right, so thank you for letting me share that.
No problem. Everyone has spoken first, and then after I wrap up, and I'm going to make mine really quick because I always send my questions directly to you I don't really necessarily wait. One thing I want to get into is the repair for the driveway sidewalks for restoration, which was supposed to come out the wind funds. And that has went up to, tell me how much is, because we've had, I think, 3 different figures.
Well, it all counts on what you consider an average amount.
Well,
in
I'm going to
regards to it,
consider,
but-
I want to consider the people who are still wanting their driveways fixed, their sidewalks fixed, and the streets that need to be fixed that were from the service line repair that was supposed to come from the wind fund, and they're still waiting.
Right, we have an estimated of 8,500 of those locations, anywhere from just lawn work to sidewalks, driveways, or in the street itself, because that's where the main was, and they had to cut out a square there to take care of it. Monies, if you look at $1,300 average, you'll get one number. If you say it's $1,000 and there's 8,500, that's $8.5 million. So it just counts on what it costs us, and we don't know the actual amount. We do know that the average was about $1,300 for the ones that were done previously. Now that we have a company overseeing it, I don't know if that's going to go up or down. We'll see it as that goes. But that's why I came in front of this council to ask about getting Roe in there to be able to go and take a look at it, figure out how big it is, have a company come in and fix it, then go back there and make sure it was fixed.
So you're looking at, there's 8,500. We don't know. Each one, of course, is going to be, some may need grass, some may need a sidewalk repair, driveway apron, the little square that was cut out in the street. So you have assessed with your office that it will be 8,500 that need to be repaired at an approximate cost I thought it was 1,800 between.
I think it was 1,300 was the number that was
That's
first
the
set.
average? Was that the average?
Because that's what it
Okay.
was from our previous grouping that was done.
So we have an average of 1,300, and then we're going to pay for that how?
We're going to be using wind fund monies, and the monies that I have suggested would be the monies for Cedar Street and the monies for the Northwest transmission main that was supposed to have been taken out. Out of that, we haven't been able to get that done. One can't be done until Dort is done. The other one hasn't been done yet, so we're going to hopefully take those monies, combine them, and use them for that. That was my suggestion.
Okay, and so how much is left in the wind fund?
I haven't seen anything since December, was the last one that I had.
And that one is not, I don't think, and I talked to Eric Pocan, so I don't think that number is correct. So we need to, I'm going to shoot you some emails because I want to create transparency also with my colleagues. Will we be using any general fund to replace this, to repair this?
If we run out of wind fund money as of December 31st of this year, as of right now, it's done. We already asked for one extension from last year to this year. If that goes away, then we'll have to use some other funds, whether it's general or whether it's ARPA, or if there's some other grant money that's out there to do that type of work.
So most of the wind fund money has been allocated at this time. Is that correct for projects?
The majority of it has been, yes.
I know at least 89 million has been, and I think we had like 11 million left from that, and I think that is going to be used for projects. It's already allocated to projects. So, and I think I've sent those questions, and I'll send those back, because when we're facing a deficit that's coming up, we all have I don't want anyone to have a trip hazard on the sidewalk. And there are trip hazards on in every neighborhood that I walked. And I sent a very detailed list, which was on a spreadsheet. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
You,
And that I forwarded it to Mr. McGaha.
that was the 6th Ward Christmas list that we won, and it's a very extensive list. So just with that area, because that was the Glendale Hills list, but just that, and I don't even know how many were on there, but there was
Quite a few.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So we have a problem with with the sidewalk repair, and some of those are restorations. So when we talk about, is there an order which takes precedence? Is it the restorations over a sidewalk repair with a city tree? Because we get a lot of those trees have grown up on that city side to where those sidewalks they're a mess.
They're both separate.
Okay.
The trees will be handled by our, as Catherine here will be shaking her head, yes, we have crews that go out and do just that. We
The
have a
sidewalks
crew
where the tree
that does
roots have
sidewalk for
pumped
tree
them up.
repair. And they
Okay.
go into an area and they go and, based on what's been asked, what has been called to us, anything 2 inches or more, we rip out, put down new. Sometimes we cut the roots back some, or we do other things. We're looking at other possible uses of concrete to be able to put over the top of them to let them breathe a little bit so we don't have to cut the roots out so badly. There's other things, but we go and do that repair, and that's completely separate from restoration or from the 50/50 program.
But in which, Catherine, you were stating that it may be a 75-25, correct? So when will we get information, and how much is that 75-25 program? How much, money is involved in that we're hopefully looking to get?
I think it's about 150,000 or more. It might be more than that.
Okay. Now, are there other funds? Because when we were in some of my colleagues, we went to Lansing. Are we leveraging funds? I mean, are we trying to get, because I don't want to use general funds for this. Sidewalk repair is important, actually, because the kids can't play in the street. And so you're riding your bicycle or skateboard or hoverboard on the sidewalk, and it's an impossibility in most neighborhoods. And I knocked hundreds of doors, and I'm going to tell you, I tripped over and fell in a couple, maybe one hole on Clement, because it wasn't, you couldn't see it. So I know, and it's everywhere. So I know you probably didn't like that big list that came, and it was huge, but we're working on another one. So I don't know if we keep getting those. Let me say this. The residents in the 6th Ward, and my colleagues too, I think it would be good, because I think when we need to see how big this issue is, so that they can, say, hey, we need money. And if we can get something for infrastructure or roads or whatever, and as Councilman Murphy said, are we fixing any of the D roads, and what roads have been fixed? I mean, we need some campaign, with promises to be fulfilled, because Flint roads are raggedy. They're raggedy. So my concern for that is with the wind funds. Catherine, you were getting ready to speak.
Yeah, we did allocate $200,000 for local funds for sidewalks for next fiscal year.
Okay.
That's just locals, so that's locals are our biggest for sidewalks. That would be, we don't have a lot of majors.
Okay.
It's mostly neighborhoods.
And so, Mr. Brown, you stated you want to take the Cedar project and I think there's 3 projects, you want to take that money to use
The two projects in wind funding to use it towards restoration, yes.
towards restoration?
That's what I would like to do.
Okay, to offset that, because we're not doing Cedar Street, right?
Correct. Cedar Street cannot be done until Dort is done, and Dort
Correct.
won't be done until at least September-ish. We could probably start it, but we wouldn't finish it, and then we wouldn't have the monies to finish it. So-
Right. And so I just
And
want,
what I've done is gone and asked the state, put in for state funding for state revolving funding with the possibility of some loan forgiveness for those two projects.
okay. And I just wanted, because we don't often hear about a lot of that, and I wanted him to share that so everybody, so that we'll know, especially with that wind fund. Okay, I want to go on to the electrical positions. Blinking lights, there were problems with the light, I believe at Pearson Road, and it was for months. So if it's a priority when these lights are out. People in Flint have one speed and it's fast. And I want to make sure we're able to get things fixed as expeditiously as possible. I mean, if we have a light out that's out for like a week, that's too much. I think I like a 2 to 3 day max turnaround, because, you know, stop signs are optional in most neighborhoods. A yield sign does not exist in neighborhoods, basically because they're not following that. So, but if anything we can do to make sure to keep our streets safe, because we're coming up on summer, well, spring, and the big thing in these neighborhoods, and not just neighborhoods, it's just our streets. Like I say, the driving is terrible. And people come to Flint and they forget, you know, even the people in Flint, people who come from outside. It's like a free-for-all. So I want our streets to be safe, so that with your department and with you, Mr. McGaha, that we're doing what we can do to make it safe, especially for children. And I got another list of speed bumps too. And then I think for neighborhoods, you know, as Flint is shrinking, you know, we have some blocks that only have 2 homes or 1 home, and depending on which ward, there are no homes. But the ones where they're populated, we need to make sure that it's safe. And the turnaround to fix, yes, and Catherine, yes.
Go ahead, Catherine.
I can address why Pearson Road took so long to fix. First, we had to have we do have a contractor. We only have 2 people in street maintenance, or in traffic engineering. We only had 2, so we always had to, we've had to contract out the fixing of the lights, and we have a contract in place. First, you had to contract with you had to get on their schedule, but we ran out of supplies, and we had to go back to council for another $100,000, because we give them, it's cheaper for us to supply the cabinets and that they use to repair those intersections. So that was part of the holdup on Pearson Road, was we were waiting on supplies, and as soon as we got the PO from you guys, or you guys gave us the approval for additional money, then it got fixed.
Now, Catherine, because you've been here, so, and thank you for not retiring.
I could.
I know, and I like to see your face and your knowledge to be here. So you cannot retire, Catherine Newman. You cannot. I will hunt you down and find you. I got a quick question for her. With you being here, how many did the traffic division normally have you seen over the years? Because we're down to 2, and before emergency management, can you speak to that?
I believe, well, no, because I came into DPW about 2013, and the EM came in about 2013-12. I know that when I came into DPW, we had about 6, I want to say.
About 6. So there are some
Yes.
things we need to change that was done from underneath emergency management too.
We have a hard time attracting, because electricians make a lot of money, and we can't match that, and that's, I think, our biggest issue.
They do, and it's a trade. It's a trade. Mr. Brown?
Okay, the other thing I was going to say is, if you do have a light out, we ask you to call us at 766-7135, and then to report it, or use the email water@cityofflint.com. Go ahead and put that in there. It's checked. It goes to DPW. I look at it most of the time, so I know it's being checked, and somebody's taking care of that and sending it to the correct location.
Okay, so
Whether it's streets, whether it's the water plant, wastewater, distribution, et cetera.
Okay, so for the public, because I like to use my social media page for something positive, so 810-766-7135 to report if a light is out, or contact, for me, I say contact me, your council person, because I like to make sure I send it to you, so that they're holding me accountable, and I'm holding you accountable.
Point of information.
Yes.
When you say street lights, are we talking about traffic lights?
Traffic
Okay,
lights.
isn't there also an online form to be able to submit that as well?
For street lights?
That's for street light.
That's for street lights, that's not for
That's
traffic
stri-
lights.
Yeah.
So when you say,
When I'm saying-
Lord,
when
Judy,
I'm
look up the
talking about-
definition. When we say street, so the street lights are the sidewalks. Thank you.
Street- Yeah, street
And
lights
that's handled by Consumers Power. So you can either do that, or you can go on Consumers Power website directly. You can go in, and I've done this because people have reported to me that a light's out, or light was sheared because of a tree hitting it, et cetera. When I go out and take a look, I mark down where it is on a piece of paper. I go back into that system, type it in, and within less than 2 months, they have always been replaced.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. And then just for clarity, so that we don't have, if you have a traffic light out, because and I was clear with you, I guess I was
Traffic
just in
signal.
mode. If you have a traffic light out, to call 810-766-7135,
Extension 2812.
extension 2812.
2812, because that gets you right to the supervisor in traffic engineering, the signal side.
Okay.
Point of information,
Yeah, can y'all just, what's your point of information?
through you to Mike Brown, for the seniors or those who's not computer savvy, that it's a street light out, what do they do?
They can just call consumers.
Yes.
Or it's an online form.
But if they don't have a computer,
That was
he's
my
saying,
point of
or not computer
information,
savvy,
because some
they can
people
call
not-
consumers, and if they call the 766-7135, I'm going too fast. We'll see what we can help them with too. Because I've put in a few already. I won't say it was a lot, but when someone called and said they can't do it, when they've called and left messages for me direct, I've gotten back with them and make sure that it's taken care of.
And Councilman
So-
Murphy, you can call directly, because I've got some, and they will do it. And they'll give them a number. Now, you may have to call them a couple of times, so if you tell the seniors, you know.
Enough reports?
Yeah.
Number. I don't think it has a point, it used to have for street light out, push button such as.
He said, they can get for a representative, and they'll do it.
I got you.
Thank you. So, where was I at? So, my next question, so when we talk about part-time people for, you stated, Mr. McGaha, how many part-time people do you have that are just for the warm months? Am I correct?
Yes, we're trying to get 16 of them.
Okay, so you're trying to get 16, and what is their hourly pay?
That I'm not quite sure about.
Okay, I could probably, I believe that it's around $15 an hour. A non-CDL holder is a little bit less than a CDL holder. So it's around 15.
And how many hours do they work per week?
It's supposed to be 29.
That's what I thought.
But sometimes they work 40 hours for a month, and then they go back to 29. We've had a lot of,
Yeah, and that's some of the complaints that I've heard, that some of the people, they work the 29 hours, they would like to work full-time, and we need to figure out how we can get good full-time people, because they're already, they're trained, they're doing the job, and if we can maintain them as, employees. I know our legacy costs are beyond astronomical, but there's so much work for them to actually to do. So 29 hours, starting at 15, which is,
not that good.
yeah, and right, and so we are, was that, now, did the current union contract, is that them starting?
It's probably, they didn't make under 15,
Okay.
so they'll probably get a 2.5% increase.
Okay, so the wage will be slightly higher, okay. So, Mr. McGaha, I know you've been here for 20-something years, and you are the acting or interim, I kind of know how this goes. So, who took your position?
Elvin Wallace?
Okay. And then I think we've did enough information about the dumpsters. Blight has, Blight and then DPW, and I would like some clarity with that because we have Blight coming up. And I think Blight is saying something totally different in regards to the dumpsters. And in between that time when they come, could both of your departments be on the same page? And could you shoot it to us? Because the cleanup is coming and some of the information with emails that I have received, because we've got the neighborhood cleanups which are coming. And what the monies, we talked about that briefly when Councilwoman Priestley wanted to expand on the dumpster budget, that it was used, and was it June coming up? You know, we're probably all getting the Block Club associations wondering about the dumpsters. And I know there was a request there's going to be a request coming, I believe, from the Blight Department for $50,000 for dumpsters. And then Catherine, you're saying you believe your portion has not been used.
So I'll double check.
Okay.
I can speak to Arnold Brown tomorrow.
Okay.
I can tell that when Republic had the contract and I would type the resolutions when I was in purchasing, I made sure that that dumpster amount was included in the resolution so it wouldn't have to go back to council. So you had everything included in the resolution
Okay.
for 3 years or whatever. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't believe it is included in the priority waste resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
The budget report that we have from January does not include anything other than general fund.
Right,
So that
okay, all right.
does not include that.
So there are some questions with that. Also, equipment costs. I know that when they need equipment, they come over, I believe it's to you for anyone. So what do you have, because Blight doesn't have, they've been using your equipment, is that correct? Do they come borrow your stuff over there?
Yeah, I think they just picked some equipment up this week.
Out this week?
Yes.
Do you know what they got?
I think I seen them take off with a Bobcat on a trailer today, so.
Today, so Judy, he said that was
I
today.
seen it, I thought. As far as I know, that's as much as I know.
Okay, because equipment we can do a cleanup, but it's not realistic that we can pick up a couch and throw it over our head and throw it into a dumpster. You know, we need to have the property. I'm not doing it. So, to have the equipment, to make sure we're properly cleaning up, you know, the city. So it sounds like between the two departments, your department and then the Blight Department with Arnold, that Mr. Brown, the new Blight Director, that we need to make sure you're on the same page to effectively help us in our wards, because Councilman Murphy says his ward is a total disaster all the time. So he wants equipment, and we need to make sure if he's having to clean up and if someone else, you know, that we have more than one Bobcat. How many front-end loaders do you have?
I'm not completely sure on that one.
We have them in different areas. We
In
have them
different
in
areas?
streets, we also have them in sewer, we have them in water. And again, based on what's needed where.
Where do they borrow
I
from?
was
They borrow
previously
from
getting
your
phone
department,
calls
right?
They borrow from all of them.
from
Oh, they borrow
from-
from whoever has one available.
Or us, for DPW, it could be borrowing a piece of equipment or borrowing a person with their piece of equipment to show up to help get the couches and everything up and into
But yours is really kind of needed because, I mean, those men, I don't know if you have any women that work in that, when they're doing water main breaks and street repair, which our infrastructure is so old and broken, I mean, that's yours just really needs to stay where it's at and not to be used because our streets and pipes and they're bad. They're bad. So you sharing equipment with Blight is not a good idea. So I did ask Mr. Brown for a blight budget, a complete one. He did state that he would be working on one within the next 30 days, and that should include equipment so that he's not borrowing from here, here, and there, kind of piecemealing it together to get his job done so that he can do his job effectively. Our streets. Is there, you talked about you said Pacer, is how they rate the streets, am I correct?
Yes.
What are our streets rated? Is there anywhere where, can you explain how they rate our streets?
I am not the person to, because I don't want to give the wrong information. I just know that our engineer and others have gone through, and there's a training course, I think, for it too, and to come out and get it done.
Yeah, I would answer more about my PACER trainings in like June.
Okay, so when you get that, can you please share that, or share it with me? I believe information is knowledge. Because we can go out and say a poor street, which is Welch. It has speed bumps by default,
Yes.
or speed humps or bumps.
Divots.
Yeah.
Divots.
So, and if we can, if you could share that, because that way we will know when we kind of gauge a street. So you go in, now who else, are you the only person who goes, or do you take someone in your department? Because you shouldn't be the only one that just has that good information.
I think last year the county did it.
The county did it?
Yes.
Okay.
I do believe
Okay.
so.
I think the more people know when we're training, because Flint has had a lot of department heads leave. If we're not training, people who are next up, I think we're not doing ourselves a service, because you're scrambling now, and Mr. John Daly is gone, and so we have no one who can tell us how streets are rated, because he took his knowledge with him to another municipality. Mr. Benzik took his knowledge to another municipality. So I think we need to have someone who knows that information other than just the person in that situation, just like Mr. Whittigan stated. I believe Katrina Slapchuck does payroll, and if she can't do it, he's going to mess up everybody's payroll. So we need to make sure that we have our processes and policies and procedure in order, and we need to really look at that. And I will shoot an email to Mr. Edwards, and I'll probably do the department heads, because it's not fair to have one person to solely have that entire responsibility upon their shoulders at all. I am going to, I think that was most of my questions, and everything else I think I've already emailed you. Yes, Catherine. I'm sorry, because we're friends.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Miss Newman.
Sure, Tanya, no problem.
See, just call me Tanya. Yes, I always say
My,
that.
my only comment is our accountant quit in October, and we didn't get a new one until January, so I am not an accountant. So when you see us looking at each other when you're asking us information, it's not my forte. So I did help with the budget, but it was kicking and screaming. So if we had someone really knowledgeable, you guys would have got a whole different, I think, opinion of how our budget came through.
Right.
But tomorrow you'll have some really good people here that's what they do for a living, and you'll get a more complete picture, I think, of how the utilities run. So I just wanted to say that. That's why you ask us questions, and we're like, oh, it's because our accountant, we didn't have one, so.
And I thank you, Catherine, for that. And I know some of the accountants who will be here, and that I've worked with some of them. Councilman Priestley will start out. When the dates were made, I have a prior commitment, but we're trying to get our budgets done in a timely. So she will be chairing, and I will be watching until I come. So we should all have our questions, and I think for residents too, if they have questions, because this is their city, email them to your council people. That way we've got them beforehand so that we can actually ask the questions. This is the time for that. We won't be doing callbacks until May the 12th. So if residents have questions, shoot them to us. Not really should email them to us so that we can answer them. Is there anyone else who would have any more questions in the final wrap? Councilman Murphy?
Yes. In the meantime, Marvin Street was on the list to be done last year, the worstest part that they were supposed to do never got done because they said it was that bad. So I would hate for it to be put on the back burner because John Daly is gone. Also, East Pearson Road is really horrible. Webster Road, East Boulevard. In the meantime, and I put in a request a while ago for those streets, but can they at least go and go down that street and patch up the holes? Edmond and Marvin Street, potholes there. I'm sure they just all over the place. So is there a number that residents can call that I can give out while I'm got the mic right now that I can repeat, or you guys can repeat for people to call if they got some potholes? But since I'm just here, sitting here thinking, I know I've been getting a lot of calls. Well, I just rode over there on Pearson Road, East Pearson Road. When you was thinking about Pearson, I was like, wouldn't that be lovely if East Pearson Road could get asphalt done on there?
The phone number for street maintenance is 810.
810
766
766
7343. 766 7343.
7343.
Yes, that's true.
And that's for anybody who want to report potholes.
Yes, yes.
On a daily basis. Yeah, so, and then my biggest one, that old plant at the water treatment plant on Door Highway. Mike, I would love to work with you to put my signature and support behind whatever you need to do by all things necessary to get that raggedy looking building tore down on the premises of the water treatment plant.
We are looking into using brownfield monies to knock that building down. We actually have an engineering firm to give us an estimate of the cost
Okay.
so that we can move that forward.
Thank you.
Actually, the EPA, when they came into one of the meetings at the water plant, told me you should be using brownfield monies and get it done.
And I know this is not in my ward, but I really want to do what I can to support the Fleming Road and Welch, and I think we should try to look at some money, and even if we got to try to move some, we really need to get that shit done. So I'm with you on that one, and I hear what you guys are saying on Welch. You might need to do some piping up under the ground, so you might need to tear that. From what you're saying, you might need to just tear that street completely up and do some infrastructure piping, replacing pipes when y'all do Welch. Is that what you're saying?
For most streets that get a full repair, yes, I want to be able to tear up everything underneath it because I don't want to have a brand new street get blown out because we have a water main break.
Right.
And unfortunately, we are, most of the city is well past its useful life for our water mains.
So let me ask you this. Let me follow up with this question. We were able to move some money towards Miller Road. Okay, is that because that's the MDOT project
Yes.
on Miller Road? Because I was just going to say, why couldn't we do this on Welch like we did on Miller Road? Do we need to contact MDOT? Is Welch considered eligible road for MDOT to do?
I think it is. I mean, that's why we put it in previously. It just wasn't accepted by the state/county.
So maybe, now that I'm thinking, maybe us as a council collectively could write a letter to the governor to fix the damn road campaign for Welch Street, because that's what she campaigned on, and she's also running for office again, so we might could use this when she come back to Flint, have her ride down Welch Street.
I would suggest you, now you're talking about
And
Welch
then-
between,
The whole Welch,
All of,
between,
not just stopping at
yeah,
Milborn.
yeah.
all of Welch, all of
You
Welch,
wanna go into
yeah,
somebody
because you're
else's
going all the
Welch?
way down to
all
Detroit
of
from
Welch,
King
all the
Street.
way down to Dayton.
No, all the way down to
I can go
Fire
down to
Road.
King Street and
Yeah,
all
I'm
the way down.
saying from
Yeah,
King
yeah.
all the way down to
to-
Dayton.
Because you said Milborn, so I thought you was just
No, I
stopping.
was saying Milborn cuts off Fifth Ward.
I get the other part.
Well, we want to do the whole.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
Welch
it's
Street.
back.
Yeah.
It goes, correct.
Yeah.
I'm
It
allergic-
stops at Dayton.
I'm alert. My car allergic to Welch Street. It just can't. It starts sneezing.
And then I'm gonna tell you guys another street, Grand Traverse, right there at Kersley, right there.
Yeah.
Huh?
Right on the bridge? Is that what you're talking about, Grand Traverse?
Yes.
Yes,
That's terrible.
it is.
Councilman Murphy, are you done?
Yep, I'm done.
Thank you. Councilwoman Herkenrode, you asked for the floor next.
I just have a couple of quick questions. So, as we were talking more about the bumps for speeding, I'm assuming that they're going to be like screwed into the road with probably like large bolts.
The humps, yes.
Okay, so what are we going to do to help prevent erosion as a result of holes in the road? Because we know it's Michigan and we know it's going to freeze and break down.
Yes, we're talking about plugging them.
Okay.
Yep, with some sealant.
Okay, and then, Mr. Brown, you were talking a bit about grant funding, so I don't know, this is maybe a conversation with you and Lottie. I don't know if ADA does grants for sidewalk replacement, because none of our sidewalks right now are ADA compliant anyway, because a wheelchair cannot traverse the sidewalks, which is inaccessible for most of for our elderly population as well as wheelchair users. Just a thought, I don't know if they do grants, but that might be an opportunity for sidewalk repair. And then I thought of something, two things, I guess. So is the street sweeping budget in your department? Okay.
Should be the routine maintenance.
Okay, so is there a regular schedule for street sweeping across the entire community? Because I know that a number of neighborhoods don't see street sweepers. If they see it at all, they only see it once a year.
Right. Our goal is to do it twice a year.
Okay.
We've got them out all week long. They just started this week. So we're going to
Do
try
you-
to hit it hard as long as our equipment don't break down. That's,
Yeah, big time.
that would be the only thing that should slow us down.
Okay, are you able to send that schedule of which neighborhoods, general areas of where the street sweepers will be? Can you send that schedule?
I could see if we have a schedule. I know we're doing the majors first, and then we're going to get in the locals. I'll ask him if he has a schedule.
That would be much appreciated. And then, as we're talking about, the road diets on Welch and other streets as well, protected bike lanes are something that has been promoted in a number of Michigan cities and is something that's very, very important as we continue to push for the future of Flint and making it more desirable for more people to want to live, work, and play. Is there a plan for protected bike lanes to happen as Mr. Brown said, we want to do it once. We want to, tear up the road once, fix everything once. Are protected bike lanes in any kind of plan as we keep moving and improving the city's infrastructure?
You'll see a lot of our 4 lanes go down to 3 lanes,
Right.
just like Court Street did, down in front of the cultural center, all the way out to Center Road. It went from 4 down to 3, and bike lanes on both sides.
There's no bike lanes on Court Street.
Isn't there?
No. We were
It's
told.
got to be so wide in order to put the little guy out there to say it's an official bike lane,
Right.
but they could be bike lanes. We
Well,
just can't
and-
officially put the guy out there because they're not wide enough.
So I think there's a difference between what we're saying. So I'm saying protected bike lanes so that pedestrians are protected from oncoming cars. And there's a number of different ways that I've seen this happen across the state, including similar to what I'm assuming the speed humps are going to be, that material to help make a division, so it's a barrier that a car would go over, should anything happen, there would be something to help stop that.
Like a curb or something is what you're talking?
Yeah, more or less, or I've even seen it where it's like a bunch of reflectors. Have those conversations been had as we talk about, I don't know if that's a Mark Adis question.
Yeah, it has not been talked about.
Okay.
That we know of.
Okay, and then, sorry, I said I only had 2 questions, but I thought of another one. Saginaw Street, downtown, the bricks, is that you all?
Yep.
Can we get a status update on that? I know that's probably not this. necessarily, but can we get a status update on a timeline?
We're hoping it's going to start mid-June, is what the meeting was today, unless we put in new water main, and then it will start late August.
Are we relaying the bricks or are we doing stamped concrete?
I guess, from what I understand, we're going to relay the bricks, but do stamped concrete in the middle of the intersections.
Say that one more time.
The street will be regular bricks, but the
Yeah.
intersections will be concreted with stamped bricks. That way the cars.
That seems backwards to me because we know how roads break down and we know how bricks break down.
Well, let me,
Yeah,
they had
so-
had, with the history of Flint, they had paved over those bricks before, and they took
Right.
it back up.
Right.
So and that's a good, can you give us all information on that project? You want to know about the paved concrete, basic,
No, so when I say stamped concrete, I mean, you pull all the bricks up, you lay down the road, and then you go through with like an industrial stamp to make it still look like it's bricks. That way we still have that history, which I do believe still needs to be preserved. Not paving over it or anything like that. But I guess I'm confused because I was informed that the street itself was going to be stamped concrete, and then the crosswalks were going to be the real bricks. And I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you say that it's going to be the opposite of that, potentially.
I'm going to have to check into it.
Thank you.
Yes.
are you done, Councilwoman Herkenrode?
God, I hope so.
Okay.
There's a-
I
One
think,
more.
On the agenda next week, there'll be a resolution, an MDOT resolution for Saginaw Street construction.
okay, Catherine's mic was off. There will be, just for the public, because they didn't hear it, next week, can you say that again, Catherine, please? Thank you.
Sorry. Next week on the agenda, there's an MDOT resolution that I typed. It's for the Saginaw Street construction.
Thank you. And then Councilwoman Lewis, I think, wanted next before you, Councilwoman Priestley. Go ahead, Councilwoman Lewis, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So just a few things. I see that a lot of, I know that we said that we would dispose the tires for $2.50 each, but have you all considered giving the tires to companies that make speed humps out of the rubber? Will that decrease, or I'll say eliminate the excuse me guys, a little late, the $2.50 fee that we pay to dispose? So is that something that we can put on the table? That way, we may not have to pay the $2.50 disposal fee if we give the tires to an organization that makes speed bumps out of the rubber.
If we could find that, I'm sure we would do it. I don't know of anywhere that there is. I mean, we try to do everything, as you know, cheaply as possible here and save money wherever we can and be frugal. If there was somebody who came, I mean, there used to be a place that would take the tires, strip out the metal, and then use the tire to be used for around parks and slides and swings for kids and mulch, so that it would be safer for them. And there used to be one here in Flint, and it's gone now. So they didn't take that up anymore, or in this area. Maybe it was Genesee County. But I can remember everything going to there when I was much younger.
Yeah, it sounds like you just put the word in for a business opportunity. Okay.
Exactly. That would be.
So thank you for that. And it's just something worth just exploring. All right, and then the other thing is, do we budget for fuel?
Yes.
We do? Okay, and so is that in the packet? I might have overlooked it. Okay, so it's,
Maybe fleet.
That'd be Fleet. Fleet does, it'll be in Fleets when you talk to Fleet.
okay.
They budget the fuel.
Okay, thank you so much. And then, so, 'cause I know one of the things that we would like to know is how much is spent on diesel fuel. So we'll talk to Fleet
To
when they
Fleet.
come.
To Fleet.
Very well. And then my last question, I guess, is for Fleet. So I wanted to know about adding electric vehicles to Fleet. Do you have plans to do that in the near future?
We're looking at that. Fleet, again, that would be a Fleet question, because we get all of our vehicles through Fleet. But the Genesee County is putting in a couple of different stations for charging in downtown area here. And we are looking into either both electrical and gasoline powered or diesel powered, or just straight electrical. We actually had one of the street sweepers company come in, and they may be using the city of Flint as a testing ground for one. So we did, that was back 4 months ago now, probably, that they came in and demoed their sweeper, showed it to us, and gave us a good look at it, and they said they'd get back to us. So,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown, Ms. Newman, and Ms. McGaha for your time.
can I say one thing?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Go blue.
Hey, just before, council, I want to be, they're here till 8:30. It is 8:25. So I just want, and I just need a minute for our wrap-up when we're done. I want to be respectful of their time as well. Councilwoman Priestley, you have the floor.
Okay, so am I correct, Mr. Brown, that all of your funds are restricted funds of one kind or another? You don't have any general fund
No.
expenses? Okay.
No, I have no general fund monies whatsoever.
Because I don't like the fact that blight is under the mayor's office, and I'd like to see it under a different organizational department. And so I was kind of wondering if what do you think, even I know that there's some general fund monies there, whatever, but what do you think about moving blight to DPW? You've got sanitation, and blight is so much in regards with what we do with trash and things like that. Or do you feel that is not an appropriate answer?
It does not fit with the current way of funding that ours is. That's why it's separated away from it, because it is a general fund and we are enterprise funds.
Right.
Whether it be transportation from the state weight taxes, or, as I said before, water and sewer from the monies we take in from our collection for water and sewer usage. So those are very specific, and it's not something that falls within that framework currently. Not to say that a DPW doesn't do their own blight, because they're a smaller group maybe, but that's always been a separate, because it is coming out of general funds, so we don't commingle. We still help out, but
I just feel that it being under the mayor makes it a very political department, and I think it needs to be separated from that. And that was the only question I had left, so.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilwoman Priestley. And I'm going to, the last response. I know that it was not under there, Councilwoman Priestley. It was under Planning and Development. And I believe that department does need to move back. I think it does make it very political. And I think I agree with you. And it's only been there about a year and a half. Maybe not even, maybe the max 2 years. And I think that looking in the charter, we may have the ability to move that back for how it was moved. So also the $75,000 with the ARPA funds, if you could please get that to all of us, how we're getting the speed bumps. So we can, because that's a concern. I would like, with the supply chain, how slow it is with us getting those, I would like to see us ordering more than 50 at a time. What is the approximate cost of a hump? That just does not sound good. So each hump is about $1,000. A little over. So in ordering in larger quantities, because you clearly won't run out. I mean, if you order in a larger quantity, you'll have enough to put down when you have people saying, I need it on Stockdale, or I need it on, the residential streets. You'll be able to apply and put them down at a quicker rate, as opposed to waiting to the slow supply chain. How long is it taking for you to get the speed bumps in, humps?
I was told about a month that this order here.
About a month. And before that, it took how long?
It only took a couple weeks. But there was
Okay.
only 10
Okay.
cents.
What would you like to see the quantities ordered in? Because that's your department.
Well, I kind of wanted to see how these first speed bumps worked before we ordered more. But
So like a trial and error
yes,
to see? So you're being very cautious and frugal with the dollars to make sure that it works first.
that was my opinion, but
Okay. And I think maybe we need to have because everyone in this, I think the council would all like speed humps in their neighborhoods to slow folks down. I want to thank you for your time, It is 8:29, so we came in just, yeah, that's the official time. Thank you, Mr. Brown, thank you, Catherine Newman, and thank you, Mr. McGaha, and we appreciate your time. It is now 8:29. This budget hearing is now over.
Thank you for your time. Well, somewhat.
Hi, I'm James Thickpen Jr., owner of 810. I chose to do business in Flint because at the time I felt there was a cultural void. We created this symbol in order to bring pride to the city. 810 is an apparel company primarily. We've created clothing that really relates to the culture here. Enjoy, shop, love Flint, support small businesses.